Yes,
Want you to stay longer, it'll stay short.
yes, correct.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Walter,
Here.
Mr. Leonard,
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez,
President.
Mr. DiGiovanni,
Here.
Mr. First,
Here.
Mr. Wild,
Here.
Chairwoman Gutschall.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting of the Bedminster Township Land Use Board was filed with the Township Clerk, sent to the Bernardsville News and the Courier News and to all subscribers, and posted at the Township Municipal Building, 1 Miller Lane, Bedminster, New Jersey, on January 9th, 2026.
Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll open it up to any public comments or questions. Do not pertain to the agenda. If there's anything anybody wants to talk about.
If you're online, you can either raise your hand or unmute yourself. If you're in the audience, you can come up to the podium. There's a handheld mic there for you. I believe everyone that's online is either one of our professionals or one of theirs.
Okay, all right, then I will close it to the public. And we will look at our minutes, March 5th. We've had a chance to review the minutes from March 5th.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 5th minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No, we're good on that one.
Okay. And we have minutes from March 12th.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 12th minutes.
Second.
George,
Abstain.
yeah, and Steve abstains. Everyone approved?
Aye.
Breaking news, rate to contain pandemic
Okay.
outbreak. Health officials around.
Apologize, I don't know.
Trace the steps.
Really trying to sign that. Way more than you
Tell me you're here.
Oh my God.
Here.
That was the comic relief.
Okay.
And Santa Claus is looking pretty good.
Yeah, I know.
That's the second one.
Okay, so all in favor except for Steve had it.
Yep.
Yeah, right,
Thank you.
exactly. Okay, and we have some correspondence from a country club 305 requesting an extension.
Paul, do you want to say anything about that?
No, I don't really have anything to say. That's it's I think a fairly routine extension. They've been hung up quite a long time with the DEP on getting their approvals. I think Tom has a resolution prepared.
Yes.
Okay,
So we can move to resolutions.
yeah. So we need to take a vote on that?
No, that.
Yes, that would be good. I recommend it to you.
That resolution is the third one on the list. The first one is for AT&T. If we could go in order that.
Okay, all right.
Fantastic.
Okay, well, we will do it that way. All right, so we have a resolution for AT&T. That was, we heard,
At the March 5th meeting.
yeah, at the March meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-008.
I'll second.
Okay,
Mr. Walter?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
I have to recuse myself.
Thank you. Mr. First?
Yes.
Mr. Wild?
Yes.
Chairwoman Gutschall?
You forgot.
you forgot Lou.
Oh, goodness.
Aye.
Thank you. Chairwoman Gutschall?
Aye. Okay, resolution is approved. Somerset Airport, resolution 226.
Motion by me on the airport. Second.
Mr. Walter?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. DiGiovanni?
Aye.
Mr. First, you were not here for that one.
Abstain.
Mr. Wild?
Aye.
And Chairwoman Betcha.
Aye. Okay, we're back to the Country Club 305. Resolution 202610. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Mr. Walter?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Rodelius?
Aye.
Mr. DeGiovanni?
Aye.
Mr. First?
Aye.
Mr. Wild?
Aye.
Chairwoman Betcha.
Aye. Okay, we have a determination of completeness. Paul?
Madam Chairman, this is an application for the Hoagland property on Burnt Mills Road. It's a request for an interpretation of a prior variance resolution adopted by the Board of Adjustment back when it was a separate Board of Adjustment. And they've submitted the documentation appropriate for a review, and it can be deemed complete.
I guess we need a roll call?
Yes. Mr. Walter?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Rodelius?
Aye.
Mr. DeGiovanni?
Aye.
Mr. First?
Aye.
Mr. Wild?
Aye.
Chairwoman Betcha.
Aye.
I've asked them when they'd like to schedule. There were some medical issues with someone involved, so they are going to let us know when they are ready to do so. So as of right now, they have not scheduled.
Okay, all right. All right. Anybody on the planning board have any comments or things they want to talk about? No? Seeing none? We'll close that. 20 Route 206, I don't even want to talk about. October.
You might like to.
Yeah.
They did call and ask when they could be put on the agenda.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was. The problem was that when I sent them the reminder email telling them all the things that we still needed from them, I then got dead silence again. So we're kind of back to where we were.
Gee, whiz. Okay. All right. So now we can start with our application on bed 1.
Good evening, Lawrence Escatalo, Tool Scrivo Law Firm, appearing on behalf of the applicant, SK Bed One Associates LLC.
Okay.
I have no introduction from myself tonight, but I have with me Noah Krismer from Cary, who's going to be our first witness.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Krismer, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name, spell your last name, and give us at least a business address.
Great. Noah Krismer, CHRISMER, business address 515 Marin Boulevard, Jersey City, 07302.
Okay, go right ahead.
Great, thank you. I want to thank the board for having us again. And I'm going to keep this very brief and then hand it over to Chris, my colleague here. So we brought the plan that you're going to see tonight, we brought before you at the end of last year in sort of a concept review. And we received a lot of good feedback. And in the 4 or 5 months since then, we have incorporated that feedback and further refined the plan, and the product of that is what you'll see tonight. The board will remember that from the prior approved plan that we are now amending, there were 3 main changes. One was that we reduced the number of overall units while increasing the number of affordable units. In doing so, we removed the podium from the parking and went to surface parking. And finally, we kept the bank as a standalone building that will be subdivided on its own parcel. Chris is going to walk everybody through that plan in detail and remind everybody of the numbers and talk about the site layout again, and run through that plan. And then I know Mark is going to get up and update everybody on really the site concept and the refinement of the site concept and the architecture which, as you can see on the screen, has turned out lovely and is consistent, I think, both with the previous approval and improves upon it in many ways, and certainly consistent with what we showed you guys at the end of last year. After that, we're going to have expert testimony on civil, landscape, traffic, and planning. And that'll wrap us up. But again, want to thank you for having us. And then I'd like to hand it over to Chris, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Nope, go right ahead.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Our second witness is Christopher Fairfield from the KRE Group.
Thank you. Mr. Fairfield, please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. And please state your name, spell your last name, and give us at least a business address.
Christopher Fairfield, Fairfield, like the town. My business address is 515 Marin Boulevard, Jersey City, New Jersey, 07302.
Thank you.
Thank you. So as Noah mentioned, I'd like to just reorient the board with our site here. We were previously in front of you in 2021 and received an approval on a similar project, but a more intense project. And we've gone back, as Noah's mentioned, and changed some of the aspects of the job. So this property was developed in the mid 1980s with an office building. It's about 170,000 square feet. You can see it there in the white in the bottom portion of the site. That building has two parking fields, one to the south and then one above the pond and kind of where the triangle of the site is, which is the northern parking lot and the site of this redevelopment. In anticipation of this project, we've been monitoring those parking lots to see their occupancy. The office building is currently 95% leased, and the parking lot to the south is about 60% used most days, and the parking lot to the north has 10 to 20 cars in it. That's it. As part of this application, we do have plans to replace every single parking spot in that north lot, but on a phased basis as deemed necessary by the tenancy and occupancy of the building. So just wanted to get that on the record that we have been monitoring it over the last few months, and the upper lot is very minimally used and there is space in the lower lot. We will probably go through with one of the earlier phases of the parking, but not necessarily all of them right at the start. Also existing on this property is a standalone Bank of America building, which is in the upper left corner of the site. And one of the other major things that have changed since the original approval is that building is now to remain. The original approval had that bank being incorporated into the mixed-use building. And by leaving it remaining and existing, we have triggered a use variance because within this zoning ordinance, a standalone bank building is not permitted. However, a bank with a drive-through incorporated into a mixed-use building is. So it's sort of a nuance here. And that's why we're in front of you guys as the zoning board. With the Bank of America, they've recently signed an extension for another 5 years with options to stay for several more extensions beyond that. They are aware of our redevelopment. We began negotiations with them under the original application. We've kind of put them on pause here while we await the determination of this board and some of our other third-party approvals. But we do have phasing plans to keep the bank open throughout construction. We are reconfiguring some of their parking fields and closing their dedicated exit directly onto Burnt Mills Road. So we will go from 3 curb cuts that are present today down to 2 in the final condition. There are no structural changes proposed to the bank or its drive-throughs. They will maintain their 4 drive-through lanes that they have today, and that's the best way we can see to keep them operational throughout construction. There's also another bank on the site in the upper right corner, well, not on the site, adjacent to the site in the upper right corner, the Chase Bank on lot 13. That's owned under different ownership, but there is a means of egress, which is our second curb cut. That will maintain. We have also begun negotiations with them with the original application. That will be maintained throughout construction so that they maintain their egress, and we will amend the easement that we have in place in order to fit the new geometry. Rob will go into more detail on all the engineering. What John has now up on the screen is our proposed plan. We are proposing in brown there 140 residential units, which is 112 market rates, a mix of 1 beds and 2 beds, some with dens, no 3 bedrooms, and 28 affordable. which is 20% following the typical UHAC distribution, 20% ones, 60% twos, 20% threes. The only 3 bedrooms in the project will be the affordable units. Those are distributed evenly throughout the site, as you'll see from our architectural presentation later.
How many affordable and how many total was it again?
140 total units, 28 affordable.
And what was the split on the bedrooms?
They will, for the affordable, it will follow UHAC standards, so 20% ones, 60% twos, and 20% threes.
Thank you.
This is actually a decrease in total units from 160 on the original application to 140 in this application, but an increase in affordable units from 24 or 15% on the original application to 28 or 20% on this application. And in fact, I believe this is the only new multifamily market rate building within the township's round 4 affordable housing plan that's been adopted over the past year. The site also on the frontage along Burnt Mills Road includes 10,000 square feet of retail. This is a reduction from around 16,000 feet in the original application. And part of that reduction is to better serve the site with surface parking that's incorporated now. So you'll see around that mixed use building, there's a plethora of parking for bank use, residential use, and retail use. We've also pre-plumbed the Bank of America lease extension that I was talking about, such that the bank parking, when the bank is off hours, can be used for retail purposes.
Excuse me 1 second. If the 10,000 square feet does it include the existing bank?
It does not. That's an additional 3,000.
So it's an additional 10,000 plus the bank's already there.
That's correct. I want to touch briefly on our third-party approvals because when we came in front of you last time, we had not secured those yet. This site does have a pond in the middle of it, which is on a regulated stream. So we went to the state, to DEP, for both a wetlands verification and a permit. We received that in July of 2023, and there are no changes with this layout to the regulated area, so that permit remains valid. We also received a flood hazard area verification and permit, an individual permit, in April of 2022. There are, again, no changes to the regulated areas resulting from that. However, the state has jurisdiction over stormwater design in conjunction with flood hazard area, and the stormwater design necessarily had to change as a result of the layout changing. Where the systems were located has moved around a little bit, but we were able to maintain the exact same flows. And actually, as of this morning, we received approval from the DEP for our modification for this layout. So we have already secured all of our DEP permitting that we need for this site. Also, in conjunction, or another third-party approval that we needed was for the intersection improvements that we agreed to as a part of this project originally between Burnt Mills Road and US Route 206. There's the intersection there that's notoriously backed up during rush hour. We have agreed in conjunction with the township. We filed an application for signal improvements there. They were approved by DOT back in 2021. We have restarted that process with DOT, and they have issued a developer's agreement to continue forward. So that is also underway. The county application, because Burnt Mills Road is a county, has been submitted and is under their review. And finally, I forgot to mention it when I was going through the project, but there's a ring road on the site that goes from Burnt Mills Road down to US 202, 206 and kind of circumvents that intersection. It is still, we agreed in the original application, and it is still our intention to make that publicly accessible via public access easement. And it will be incorporated entirely as part of the residential subdivision. So this property has 3 components to it: the office piece to remain, the residential, and the bank will all be their own standalone lots. The ring road we've incorporated entirely on the residential so that the maintenance obligations and the easement obligations all fall within one entity and one use. John.
Any questions from the board?
I have one more statement.
Go right ahead. I don't mean to cut you off.
No worries. So this here in front of you is our residential entrance. And I just wanted to address that a number of Frank and Paul's and your professionals' comments have really focused in on how do we manage and maintain all these different uses on the same site in close proximity. Where's trash, where's loading, things like that. You'll hear detailed testimony from our professionals about how all that is managed. But what I want to convey to you is that This is a highly managed and serviced property. The idea here is to have this be one of the highest levels of residential service for any multifamily building in New Jersey. This will be there will be a dedicated person on site 24/7 managing operations. There will be assigned residential parking spaces. Loading, trash are all encouraged to happen off hours and out of sight so that they're not impediments to the rest of the circulation. You'll also see that there's a number of signage deviations that we're looking for here, and that's really all to serve circulation around this site to make sure that everyone who comes here knows where they're going. If they're going to the bank, the retail, the residences, they get to where they want to be. And really, we're only able to do this because of the community that we're in here in Bedminster. And we're very excited to be a part of this community and have this development. That concludes my testimony.
Good, okay. So we'll go back to the board. Board questions? Any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Who's going to be maintaining that loop road around the back?
We will be,
Okay.
the residential entity.
And that's with an agreement with the township or as part of the resolution?
Right now, it's private property, and as part of the resolution, I believe there's a condition that we will have an access easement dedicated to the public use of that. And we're happy to grant Title 39 as well for traffic enforcement.
Okay, thank you.
And I think, just to be clear, your testimony was great, and you did that really fast, which I think you probably been told to do. Just saying.
Maybe.
But it was really good. The loop road has some issues that need to be dramatically repaired. Part of this plan will be to rebuild the loop road so that when Title 39 applies, the cops can.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We will be
it'll
milling.
be a real road.
We will be milling and repaving the road as part of this.
Thank you.
If you're northbound on 202, 206, will you have access to that?
You will not. It's a right in, right out only.
So it'll remain.
Yes, that will remain the same.
Just going south.
Just going south, yes.
So all those people will have to go through the light, but the improvements they're going to be making at the intersection will make it so much easier for people to go through the light.
Yep.
Probably better anyway.
Yeah, it's certainly correct. Less of anytime you go through a managed situation in a controlled intersection compared to, do I cut in front of this person that's going 50 miles an hour coming out, yeah, good points.
Yeah, the intersection needs work.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Glad you got the approval for that.
We do.
Okay, I'll open it up to the public. Anyone have any questions for this witness?
Again, if you're online, which I'm pretty sure it's just professionals and people that are part of it, but you can unmute yourself, raise your hand, or you can come up to the podium. There's a handheld mic there, or you can wait.
Okay. Seeing no one, we can take the next one.
Thank you, Board.
Larry, it's Tom Collins speaking now. I just wanted to confirm, are these new exhibits or are these just part of the documents submitted with the application?
Hi, Tom. We plan to, they're new exhibits and we plan to mark them, this entire presentation as one exhibit and just flip through them as we go along to speed things up.
Great. Okay, so you'll give an electronic copy, I guess, to Janine?
Yes, we
And
will.
maybe to Paul and to Frank and me.
Right.
Yes, no problem. And while we're here, I'll mark what is on the screen right now. What I'm holding in my hand is A1, and I'll give this to Janine, and we'll also send an electronic copy to all the professionals.
Thank you.
And with that, I'd like to call Mark Kushner as our next witness. Mr. Kushner, you stand to be sworn.
Commissioner, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
I do.
And please state your name and spell your last name and give us at least a business address.
Sure, it's Mark Kushner, MarcKushner, and my business address is 515 Marin Boulevard, Jersey City, New Jersey, 07302.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, go right ahead.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having us back. I'm going to do a little architectural review of where we were and how we got here. So if we go to the next slide.
We should just confirm for the record, Mark, you're a registered architect in New Jersey?
Yes, I am a registered architect.
And the board has previously recognized and still accepts the qualifications of Mark Kushner as a registered architect. Please go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, Tom. So what you're looking at is the original plan, which was a 3-story, 160-unit residential building. And as Chris explained, because of the wanting to reduce the podium and the bank remaining, we made the following architectural changes. Next slide. So the bank, which is shown in blue on the top left, is remaining, and you can see that it's right up against where we had planned the building. Next slide. So we lopped off that leg of the building to keep all of the drive-throughs and give the bank enough space to continue to operate as a pad. Next slide. We then addressed the 2 legs on the right, reducing them to increase surface parking so that we could afford to build the building without a podium. Next slide. To gain some of those units back, we filled in the space between what had essentially been 2 separate buildings and created what we think looks a little bit like a Q shape of a footprint with a courtyard in the middle and a little tail off to the left. Next slide. And here you can see the building in plan, and you can see the 2 uses. Previously, both the retail and the residential entrances were all on Burnt Mills Road. And I think we all had some concerns that that would be a sort of a mix, too much of a mix. What we've been able to achieve with this new plan is in blue, facing Burnt Mills is the 10,000 square feet of retail facing that public plaza and retail dedicated parking. Residential entrance is shown in pink, which is off to the left off of the ring road. So it really is 2 completely sets of circulation. And that's why when we talk about signage, you'll hear about why we need some extra signage to make sure that people can know the difference between those 2 uses. Next slide. So here, looking at the elevation, this was the approved elevation on Burnt Mills. Next slide. And we'll take you through the evolution. The bank needs to remain on the right-hand side. So next slide. We lose the wing on the left. And again, next slide. We fill in that middle piece. So we kept all of the architectural elements the same, but we filled in that middle piece with the same leg that we took off of the left. Next slide. So in plan, what you're looking at is there and there now, the colors have switched, so stay with me. But in pink is the 10,000 square feet of retail, incidentally with covered, potentially covered dining space or retail space off to the left, which is something that we spoke about between the bank and the retail, and a dedicated retail hallway that goes out to retail trash and loading. So like Chris was saying, we want to make sure that we give every opportunity to get all that servicing off of the front of the retail and in the back. Next slide. And then here, talking about materials, they remain exactly the same as we talked about previously. Red brick, a darker brick, vertical elements in white and in wood tones, and then shingles on the roof. Next slide. We have metal awnings on the retail and signage. And here you can see an evening view, which Chris showed you, and you can see the animation, the activation of that courtyard with event lighting. And sitting right up front on Burnt Mills is a sit sign that says the name of the development. And you can start to see a monument sign off to the left. Next slide. For the retail entrance, we went for something more intimate, something more residential. So you can see retail residential circulation is the main pieces are in purple here. The lobby and amenity space is off to the bottom, is off to the left. And then the hallways connect to a secondary lobby on the right-hand side of the project for people that park on that side of the project, so they don't have to walk all the way around. Next slide. Same material palette, except for the residential portion, we introduced glazed brick tile. And you can see that in the rendering and standing seam metal roof. And in the next slide, we have a rendering of what that's going to look like. So this is the Bedminster chapter, the proposed Bedminster chapter and the entrance to it. So we really tried to create a sort of grand and elevated entry for the residents of this building, and also something still visible from the ring road so that you know that this is the entrance for the residential portion of the building. And with that, I'm going to conclude my testimony and ask if you have any questions.
One question.
Yes.
That I have.
Go right ahead, Frank.
The pavilion, he showed it on the drawing. There was a pavilion that we all were not quite sure about, but we were interested in, that went away because of the reconfiguration.
You're right, Frank. I didn't mention that.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Just tell us about that.
Yeah, and we can, if you want to see it in plan, we can go back to the first slide. we had proposed a standalone, next slide. You can see the pavilion building off to the,
See, it
yeah,
says
there it is.
pavilion right there.
Yeah, you can go to the next slide. It says removed pavilion building. Because we needed to get enough parking for our retail to work, and the bank pad now took up really kind of that square footage that we had for that standalone pavilion. So the bank pad in a way replaced the standalone pavilion as a second building on the site.
And you initially sold us on the theory that that could be somewhat of a unique outlier, but we never figured out what that would be exactly. So what you're now giving us is a much more reliably formatted retail element that matches the streetscape and gives us enough parking, right? So
Very much
so
so.
we're not really losing something.
No, and in fact, we've really gone deep. Thank you, Frank. We've really gone deep on, we want this retail to be successful.
Yeah.
So, right. And we know that that can be a challenge in this location. So we've already been speaking to brokers and potential tenants about what they would need for this. So you can see that the blue piece has different depths. We have up to 60 feet deep, which is a preferred retail depth for, say, a restaurant. And we'll have the ventilation and should we get a restaurant interested in this space. But we also have smaller spaces to potentially get some smaller retail in there too. So it's not, our dream would be that we don't have a single user, but that we have a couple of stores and that it becomes a vibrant place to come. We talked about bikes, we talked about restaurants. That's what we set the building up to achieve.
So where's the parking going to be for the
Yeah.
retail? Is it all going to be the bank? If you're all the way over to the right side, that larger side, what's that parking lot on the right going to be? Is that just resident?
Yes,
Or that's just resident?
that's just resident.
And then the parking on the left is just resident.
Correct.
So all the retail is going to be
From the bank. So the deal that we have with the bank is that after operating hours, we can use that for the other retail. So if you start to think about like a restaurant with a dinner service, they can use all the retail parking, including the bank parking.
So how many spots are there going to be for just for the retail during the day? Is it going to be like 20?
You're gonna hear. I was going to open up with, I'm not the numbers guy tonight, but that's fair question. We will address it. Yeah.
Okay.
The front area, is there any area now for public gathering, or we talked about some of that?
Yes, very much so. So the intention is still very much that it's a public gathering space. We've added and we'll have our landscape team talk about it. We've added some planters just for shade and for seating. But the idea is that that is an outdoor, hopefully a dining place. And then we've got the opportunity where you see the event lighting and to shut that down and turn that into a fully pedestrian occupied plaza for special events, tree lightings, that sort of thing. But that's very much the intent. Yeah.
What about the bank? Is anything happening with the bank, or it's not shown in this picture? It's just going to be like it is now.
Expect improved landscaping and all of the circulation and signage will be cleaned up, but the bank building will remain what it is today.
So I have a question about that. So you have all this beautiful redesigned architecture, and then you have the bank over here, the way it is. So do you have concerns with that? The bank might be like a sore thumb sticking out in this beautiful setting?
They're gonna build something so beautiful, you could put it out.
I was going to say a rising tide. The bank, I think landscaping, paving patterns, lighting, signage, these are things that are pretty outdated in the current bank. And I think that's we're confident. Look, on this one, we're completely on the same side.
Right.
We want that bank to look great. We're gonna make sure that it fits into the development.
With retail space, has that been allocated just yet in terms of the number that you're proposing or thinking about, or is it just gonna be based totally on the leases that you acquire?
It's just based on the lease that we require. But when you go out to lease retail space, you can have an intent in mind. And I think what we've done is create a basis of design for those spaces that we can get the tenants that we want. Just for instance, a grease trap or ventilation for a restaurant, you need to pre-plumb those if you're going to go for that sort of use. And that's what we've done. Yeah.
And we have the same heights as the old building?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyone else on the board?
Good job.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, if I could.
Let me just open it up to the public.
I'm sorry, I have one more question.
Wait.
Yeah.
Hold up a minute.
The question I have is, we talked about possibility of having a path from this site over to the park. Did anything happen with that? Do we still have that?
something did happen and our team will address that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to open it up to the public. Janine?
So again, if you're online, you can unmute yourself or raise your hand. If you're in the audience and you have a question, you can come up and ask it now. Or again, you can hold questions or comments till later.
Yeah, I have one question. When you were monitoring the parking, the north parking there, and you don't see a lot of activity, what about the bikers? Not motorcycles, but regular bikes.
Bicycle.
You see that
Bicyclists.
back there?
I don't know, did we get a bicycle count?
I think that a majority of those 10 to 20 cars that we've seen there were for bicyclists. We expect them to probably move next door to the park.
And what about an area for them? If they want to go to a restaurant, can they leave their bikes outside?
We will address that. There's a ton of bike parking proposed.
Yeah,
Great.
we very much want to encourage this to be a hub for the biking community.
Yeah.
I remember that was Noah's thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
can you hear me?
I do. Who's speaking?
Oh, this is Paul Ferrero. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I just had a question for the architect, and it was a comment in my letter, and it relates to how the trash is going to be handled. It looks like they're going to be in carts that are going to be wheeled out to the residential parking on the residential parking side of the site. My concern is how this eventually works and wears in, particularly if you have a restaurant use, because every one of these I've ever seen is you end up with a lot of grease being wheeled out and tracks that discolor the sidewalk and wherever this is going to be picked up eventually. How will the trash collection actually work for both the commercial uses and the residential uses?
Well, I'm going to let Jack Raker from Minnewaska walk you through the exact architecture of the plan of how the trash moves through the site. But I can tell you that we are very familiar with the challenges of this, and our commercial team is able to deal with the trash, power wash any staining on the sidewalks. It's just part of managing a building of this caliber.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and Jack, so we're aware of the issues. I think what you're bringing up are legitimate issues, and Jack will show you how we try to address them in the plan of the building.
Yes, Paul, is that right? Satisfied?
That's all. I'll wait for the architect.
Okay. All right, anyone else? Not seeing anyone? I'll close it to the public.
Now,
Next witness.
thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to call Rob Moscello from Gladstone Design, Inc.
Thank you, Mr. Michello. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
And please state your name, spell your last name, and give us at least a business address.
Sure. So Robert Moscello, Moschello, and my business address is 265 Main Street, Gladstone, 07934.
Just confirm for the record that the board recognizes and accepts the qualifications of Mr. Michello as a professional engineer. Please go ahead, gentlemen.
Whose license is still in good state?
Yes, it is. Just renewed. All right, excellent. So I have a couple, I'm going to continue along with the exhibit package that we have there. I'm going to actually share my screen as I go through a couple of these for the board, and we talk about some of the modifications that have been changed, that have been done to the property from the prior application to this application. You've heard a lot of testimony already from the folks from KRE about the site modifications, about the building modifications, and so forth. I'm going to touch on some of the engineering aspects that are related to that. So just give me a second here. I will share my screen. There we go. Excellent. So again, what we're looking at here, just to go over just a couple little components of the existing site itself, just an overall site aerial showing the surrounding neighborhood. You got Burnt Mills Road going, in a west-east direction, Washington Valley Road also going in west-east, the intersection that we've talked about here already with 202, 206. That is part of the permits that we just received for DOT. 202, 206 going north-south. And then we have the site itself, which is, block 71, lot 7, which is comprised of approximately 22.47 acres for the record. The existing Bed 1 site, as we call it. Mr. Fairfield talked about the existing improvements that are on the site already, the office building, the bank, and so forth. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer to the plan here just to kind of see the site in a little bit more detail. We have the site right now as is configured has, 4 access points out to the surrounding roads, 2 on Route 202, 206 that we talked about for the office building access, both here and on the southerly portion, the ring road that I call the ring road, or that goes along the south and western side of the property that connects Burnt Mills Road to 202, 206. The bank, where the Bank of America has access off of that ring road, and the Bank of America also has an access drive going out to Burnt Mills Road. And then you also have the Chase Bank that was mentioned at the intersection of Burnt Mills and 202, 206. That also has an access drive that comes in and out of Burnt Mills Road through our site that provides access to the Chase Bank. So those are the existing improvements that are on that provide access to the property. Moving along, and this was mentioned in Mr. Fairfield's testimony, we are doing a subdivision here, and I think it's key to talk for a few moments about what that subdivision is entailed. The prior approval had a 2-lot subdivision that was approved by the board. Here we're looking for a 3-lot subdivision, and when I flip to the next slide, you're going to see the orange subdivision lines that appear here on the plan that basically creates the 3 lots that Mr. Fairfield was talking about. And we're breaking it down into the 3 lots, basically the remaining or proposed lot 7, which will be approximately 12.46 acres for the office building site. And that includes the office building and what it's going to be its parking. It does not include the ring road. We're going to put the ring road on what's going to be proposed lot 7.01, which is the residential lot, or the mixed use lot, which will be 9.28 acres. And then the reason why we're in front of the board this evening is because of the Bank of America lot that we're creating here, that's creating the bulk, the use variance, which is going to be proposed lot 7.02, shown here in orange, and that's 0.67 acres, basically putting the bank on its own lot. So those are the 3 lots that we're asking to create as part of this application. Just briefly talking about the environmental constraints that's on the property. This is the same exhibit that we presented a couple of years ago. The constraints, as Mr. Fairfield had pointed out, we have all our DEP permits that were required for the project. We have our LOI, our verification for the floodplain. We have our new updated technical modification of our prior flood hazard area permit that was just issued today. But this plan basically shows you the constraints, and they're related to the existing pond that's on the property. That pond was built back in the 1980s when the site was developed with the existing office building, and all those constraints basically revolve around that pond. One of the other items that's shown on here that's not DEP related, but's related to your ordinance is your, I'll call it the 3-tier management buffer for your stream buffer, and that's related to the pond here. Under the prior application, we were granted a waiver from that. I'll touch on that again this evening, but those buffer lines that are shown here in purple on the plan are related to your buffer system that's related to that pond and the stream that's associated with that. And those lines are the same lines that were on the prior application. And the waiver that we're requesting is basically the same exact waiver that was previously granted for the prior application with no change in the disturbance limits. So moving on to the proposed application, as this has been mentioned, we have basically the components of this are the bank lot and the modifications around the bank, the residential building or the mixed use building with the residential and commercial components of it. And then you have the office component, which is on its own lot down here. The office component, I'll just touch on that briefly first, is the existing office building and its parking lots. And this is the same exact layout that was approved previously. So we're really not modifying that layout at all when it comes to the office and its layout and its parking that's shown there. The modifications, as you've heard already, really were focused around the layout of the mixed use building and the bank. And I'm going to go to my next slide, which shows that in a little bit more detail here with the labels and such, so we can talk for a few minutes about what we're proposing here, and we could talk about the some of the aspects of this project, the amenity spaces and the loading and pedestrian functionality and all those types of things. So basically, as the site was mentioned, the retail building, the mixed-use building has the retail on the north portion of the building here. It's adjacent to the amenitized courtyard that's in the front of the building. You've got patio areas along both the east and west side of that building in the front here. The covered patio area here to the northwest. In the front of the building, you've got the courtyard area. You've got pedestrian access out to Burnt Mills Road. There'll be a sidewalk along the frontage of Burnt Mills Road that goes across to the intersection here. That sidewalk will continue and connect down into the Pluckerman Park, as you can see here on the plan. You'll hear some more of that from our landscape architect when he talks about the park area, but you can see that sidewalk connection that takes anybody who is in this development and wants to go to the park can walk along that frontage of the property to the frontage of the subject site to get to the park. I know there was a comment in Mr. Banish's letter about possibly some other connectivity, maybe along Road A, but we looked at that, and given some of the slopes there and the fact that we want to have a nice connection that's also, you know, compliant from an ADA perspective, which this is along the frontage here, we feel that it's better to bring everyone out to Burnt Mills Road and connect them into the park through the sidewalk networks that's shown here, as opposed to trying to cut through the woods here with some undulating grades and drainage swales that exist there.
I went out and looked at that. I don't disagree with that.
Good, thank you. So, you know, further in looking into the site, the way it's laid out here, we have the bank here, the existing bank that's shown with its drive-through canopy. We're maintaining the 4 drive-through lanes on the bank. We are going to be adding additional parking around the bank lot, and I'll get to a parking exhibit in a few moments to show you how that's going to be broken out across the site. But primarily the bank buildings here with access around the building. You'll have the Road A, or the ring road that we have here on the west. You'll have an access point coming in. Folks can either drive around the front of the bank, or they can go through the bypass lane should they so desire to get to the front of the retail component, which also has its access coming in off of Burnt Mills Road, shown here on the plan. And then we're making the connection to the Chase Bank on the eastern side of the project here. So the folks that come into the Chase Bank off of 202, 206 can go through their parking lot, and we'll have the ability to go back out through our parking lot to Burnt Mills Road, or vice versa, come in through our parking lot to the Chase Bank. Off of that retail in the front will be a parking lot for the residential, shown here on the eastern side. And then we have separate from the retail in the front, we have another parking field that's here on the western side of the building that ties into the residential lobby for the residents as well. In terms of loading and for the building, we are going to need a waiver for a loading space related to the retail. The intent here is, and you'll see the floor plans when our architect puts it up, the retail component has a small lobby and entry point, not a lobby, an entry point for the retail for the back of house here for trash and deliveries. We feel that given the limited size of the retail, that deliveries can come through the side over here into the building. We don't need a dedicated loading space for that retail, or if it's a small truck or UPS or whatever, it could always come to the front of the building if need be. But we feel we have this side area over here for deliveries that'll work for the retail. For the residential, we've dedicated a loading space 18 by 45 on the southwestern corner or southwestern corner of the building over here for folks who will be coming into the building for move in and move out. There's doors on the side of the building here. You'll see the internal layout of how that works with the hall corridors from our architect. This will also be one of the main components where trash will come out here for pickup as well, which will be managed by the building staff. You hear more of that from our architect as well. The trash for the retail will come out this side of the building, or the eastern side of the building, and will be picked up over here. And the architect will talk more about how that's managed internally to the building.
Could you just speak a little bit slower?
Sorry.
It's you know, the mouse is moving around and you're speaking, it's a little hard.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Sure. One of the other components that I wanted to point out is the pedestrian connectivity around the building and around this portion of the site. I mentioned that there's 2 pedestrian walkways going out towards Burnt Mills Road. You can see them on either side of the amenitized courtyard here. You have crosswalks. You have the plaza area in the front here with sidewalk space associated with it. That same sidewalk network goes around the eastern side of the building loops around the back of the building. And you can see, oh, your screen's probably a little bit behind now. I see we're in a bit of a delay here. On the back side of the building here, we have a sidewalk that's existing, that's adjacent to the parking lot, that goes through the parking, that goes adjacent to the parking area. And we connect back on the western side here, and that goes around the building to the retail lobby that is on the west side. I'm sorry, the residential lobby that is on the west side of the building here, where my pointer is. That network still continues. I see delay. Still continues up here and ties into that lobby in the front. So you can actually walk around the building, completely in the 360 way, a 360 way to get around the building. And then also goes out, there's a sidewalk that goes out to Burnt Mills from the bank lot as well along the ring road. That's over here on the west.
Rob, would you just explain with a little clarity what's going on in the front of the retail where we see those boxy areas? Obviously, there's some parking spaces out toward the street, but what else is happening? What are we trying to see going on?
So, and you'll see some of this when our landscape architect speaks as well, but you have parking spaces in the front here, which are 8 spaces. You've got the drive lane through the middle here that's delineated by banding and pavers. And then we have a plaza area that's in the front of the retail building here with some seating and landscaping that's associated with that. And this area can be closed off if need be to activate it for some type of closed events or things of that nature. And if it is closed off, you still have access to the parking both on the east side from Burnt Mills Road and the west side from the access through the bank.
Am I right to assume that's about 30 feet deep and 60 feet wide and close to 2,000 square feet of outdoor plaza area?
This in the front here is about 35 by 60, 70 feet wide. And then you got the drive lane here. And this is all one level coming through here. So there's no curb through here. It's going to be all flush. So you can have that ability to close that area off and have it feel like a private event type of space if you wanted to do that.
Thank you.
Yes. And then I do want to point out that pedestrian connectivity, and we'll give it a second to load here. That pedestrian connectivity from the backside of the mixed-use building continues over a bridge. That's over the stream here. And there's an existing path that's there today that comes to the backside. My blue beam just seems to have, there we go. That comes into the backside of the building. There's a patio area back here already that's on the existing office building that's there today. That'll ultimately connect to one of the parking fields that's off to the east side here. And this connectivity continues today, it's actually there, to the backside of the office building, and then will ultimately make a connection into what's going to be some of the existing parking area, the proposed parking areas on the low side of the building here. That's just off the screen. So if you park in the parking on the south side, you'll be able to walk all the way to the mixed-use retail building from the office building that's there today. So you have full connectivity where you don't have to go down the ring road to be able to get there. So I'm going to jump to my next slide, which is basically, I know there's some questions about parking, so I think this is a good slide to talk about the parking distribution on the property. And it's really broken into 4 categories. You have parking for the bank, parking for the retail, parking for the residential, and parking for the office. The office parking is the parking spaces that are shown in orange, which is on the southern side of the plan, and that's generally unchanged from what we proposed the last time in terms of the parking layout and the parking configuration on the office side of the site. As discussed on the mixed-use side, we had to remove the podium parking and basically take all of our parking and create surface parking that would service the 3 uses on the north side of the site for the mixed use. And that breaks down into 3 categories for the bank, the retail, and the residential. And just to go over some of the numbers briefly for what that means in terms of how that parking is calculated. The bank itself, which is in the northwest corner of the site here, only requires 11 parking spaces, but based on KRE's requirements with the bank and what the bank is looking for in terms of their agreements, we actually show 35 spaces, and those are shown in brown here. If I zoom into the plan, those 35 spaces there. And those spaces, as was mentioned by Mark, those spaces will act as both spaces for the bank, even though there's more than adequate parking there, and they'll also double as spaces that will also support the retail during off hours. The retail parking is shown in purple on the plan here in the front of the building, and the ordinance requirement for the retail is actually 46. And the plan here shows 44 spaces in purple. So we're just 2 spaces short for the retail when you look at it just straight up in terms of the calculation. But when you add in the bank parking next to it, now you have, over 70 spaces of parking that's available during off-peak hours of the bank to be shared across that retail in the front. The rest of the parking is really dedicated to the residential, and that's the parking shown in green. And on this side of the site, we have 225 residential parking spaces shown in green, distributed both on the east side of the site and on the west side of the site. Those spaces generally, since this is going to be a managed development, they are going to be assigned for residential parking for the units.
You said it would be assigned?
Will be assigned, yes. Now, depending on, there's 160 units. There's a certain number of those units are going to be 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom. And KRE will manage the assignment of those spaces, but you typically would assign 1 space per unit, and then the rest would be available to the public or visitors to park in those spaces if they were coming visiting people. So again, that would be managed by KRE, but based on the parking requirements, we have 160 residential. There's 225 spaces that are shown here in green for the parking.
How does that compare to RSIS?
Did you say there's 225 on each side of the building?
What I said?
Total.
Total.
I'm sorry, 140 units was what I said, 160.
Residential.
The total was 225?
The total was 225 spaces we're showing in green on the plan here. And it's 140 units.
So it's 140 units, it's 140 spaces and 280 bedrooms.
I don't have the exact bedroom count based on the break.
Well, it's 20% 1 and 20% 3 and the rest are 2.
No, that's not
That's the breakout. That's the breakout for the affordable housing units.
Oh, that
formula.
Yeah.
only the affordable housing.
Yeah, actually, the actual unit breakdown is 48 1 bedroom, 86 2 bedroom, and 6 3 bedroom. So that's the actual breakdown: 48, 86, and 6 for 140 units.
Does that match our zoning requirements
Yes.
for residential?
Yes.
It's RSIS, statewide standard is the RSIS standard, and I think Rob said it complies. Is that right, Rob?
Yes, for the residential, it complies. And then overall parking in the office building, of course, we have the parking on that side for the office use. And we also have, and this was brought up in the review letters. I know there were some questions about the EV parking spaces and the ADA parking spaces. We'll just state that we are going to ensure that we comply with the state standard for what would be required for EV parking on the residential versus EV parking on the new retail and commercial. And we'll provide the required, what they call EV ADA spaces, which the project would require 4 of them, which will disperse throughout the site. So we'll have to just make some slight adjustments to the EV layouts, which we can comply with to satisfy those state requirements. I believe Mr. Farrar had some comments in his review letter about those, but we'll be sure to make sure that the parking complies with those requirements.
Rob, do you know how many is required for residential?
The parking?
The electric.
Oh, the electric, it's, hold on 1 second. For the residential, $27 EV spaces are required.
Okay.
To start off with, then ultimately you could add more as time goes on if you, if they're required. Correct.
Thank you. Frank?
Just with regard to the brown spaces, does the arrangement between the bank and KRE in any way limit their availability to serve as overflow any time of day or night?
That's right.
During the bank's off hours, they're available for the retail use. So the intent is that if there's going to be a restaurant type of use in the retail building, you would have, the bank would be closed in the evening hours, and that would be the overflow for that type of use.
So basically, you're avoiding conflict between bank traffic and this traffic.
Correct. During the day, we don't expect that the retail use would be that intense that it would require the parking spaces at the bank.
Probably right. Thank you.
I can envision the only time where you may have a conflict is if you have a coffee shop or bagel shop or something like that in this retail space that's going to be pretty busy on a Saturday morning and the bank is open, and that's where you may have a potential conflict.
I don't think that bank has Saturday hours anymore.
I was just gonna say,
No,
Bank of America's closed on.
according to the Bank of America's website, they're closed on Saturday and Sunday.
It used to be, but they changed it, yeah.
The nerve.
And their weekdays, they're closed before
That's what
4.
I'm counting.
Yeah, and they open at 9 a.m. on the weekdays. So if people are there for a bagel shop before 9, it shouldn't be a problem. And again,
So that explains why I've never gone to a Bank of America branch to do any of my banking.
Correct.
why they call it banker's hours, I guess. So
So Rob, I just want to clarify that a little bit again.
Yeah.
So those brown spaces are for the bank. And the purple are for retail and commercial. But what if someone from retail parks in the bank space during bank hours? Is there going to be like an issue there?
I don't think anyone, given the fact that we've got 35 spaces on the bank lot and the ordinance requires 11, I don't think you're going to see an issue if someone happens to park in a few of the spaces in the front. I mean, again, that's a management thing with KRE and their lease with the bank, but I don't know if anyone's going to really come out there and complain if a few spaces were used up.
Signage that says bank parking only,
No, there'll be no signage.
because that would dissuade
Right.
people from parking there. And I don't know any bank that has 35 customers at the same time.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. And this bank happens to have 4 drive-through lanes, one is a bypass, 2 ATMs, and so again, it's much larger.
It's always, the bank lot's always empty.
Yeah, right. It's just the
They used to
employees.
drive it anymore. It's just 2 ATMs now.
Yeah, I think, and there's a bypass. I don't know if there's even a window.
So, yeah.
But yeah, given the way banks have been managed over the last 10, 15 years, you don't see the number of cars going there with online banking and everything now. But their requirement with KRE is they wanted 35 spaces. And so that's what we give them on the site plan for that.
Okay.
So we fully intend that these would be shared spaces and get used as overflow when the retail is really in use on the weekends and in the evening hours.
So when you were monitoring the parking lot, did you monitor the bank lot at the same time to see the usage?
We did, there's nothing.
Yeah, the KRE did, and they didn't see much there. And I sat in the bank lot for a half hour on one morning, and I saw 3 or 4 cars.
30 spaces.
Because it seems as if, if that's the case, you guys should really make a deal to, and there's overflow. It should be seamless. If nobody's in the back. I mean, you're looking like, oh man, the adversaries, that's what I'm feeling.
I'll have to defer to KRE on how their operation would work, but yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
We like to encourage shared parking, right, Frank?
Absolutely.
So if there's any way to get maybe the data.
I think it's just gonna happen.
Yeah.
We can talk to Mike about it.
Yeah.
I think there's
It's gonna
enough.
happen.
There's enough.
There's plenty.
And you're also sharing some of the spots in the office building, looks like here too.
Well, some of the residential spaces, just on the office building site, there's 19 spaces on the office lot that's shared for the residential uses down over here.
Yeah, so you get 22 of them, yeah. According to this.
Yeah, I thought it was supposed to be 19, but
Yeah.
it could be just slightly mislabeled. But yeah, it's supposed to be 19 for the residential on that
Yeah,
side.
they're on the only going to show the 5 on that is 3.
Yeah.
Robert,
Just out of curiosity, where's like staff or retail staff for the building? Is that going to be in certain areas? Is that going to take up retail space, or is that kind of just going to be overflow into the residential areas? Or Maybe that's our mixed use into the bank.
That's really, again, the employees are going to park in those same designated spaces for the retail and the bank. The bank employees will park in the bank spaces. The retail employees will probably park in the front over here. Again, we're not talking, it's only a 10,000 square foot retail space. You're not dealing with a lot of employees that are going to be in there.
Can you go over garbage again? Where are the dumpsters gonna be? Where do people load when they move in? Where do the trucks, where do the deliveries happen?
So I think two things with that. I'm going to talk about the exterior portion of it, and I think you'll see from our architect on interior how it's going to function. But there's two components to that. There's a loading area on the west side of the building. It says proposed loading area right here. This is primarily for move in and move out for the residential.
Is that a loading dock or?
No, it's just a striped area, striped pavement area where no cars are parked.
Doors there?
There's 3 sets of doors over here on the side of the building.
Okay.
And those are going to be where you'll have your trash and your move in and move out come through. And you'll see that on the architectural plans, how that works with the hall corridors and everything with the building.
So the trash could be stored inside?
Trash is stored inside the building and it's brought out during days for pickup.
Okay.
Yep.
And same on the other side?
Same on the other side. Really, the other side is more for the retail delivery, which comes through this door over here. Okay. There's a trash room inside the building here for the retail as well. So they can come through here for deliveries and trash. And you have basically a small island right here where a truck can stop for that. And then there's a smaller lobby over here for the residential folks as well, who are on the east side of the building.
Okay, so it's separate. Okay, I was assuming it was combined. I was like, the poor people on that side. It's like,
Yeah, you'll see on the architecturals how that's split up.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, you can see the dashed line on here. Yeah. And then
It's like back in school, east side.
again, given the size of the building, it's good to have entrances on both sides of the building. And you'll see how with the way the circulation works on the inside for the residential.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Rob, I want to just change subjects for a little bit. How tall is this structure?
I believe it was 13.
The 2 stories, 3 stories?
3 stories.
I think it's
3 stories.
by
So
the hill.
Yeah.
can you discuss, maybe even Ron can help us here, in terms of fire safety and access in and around the building? This is a fairly large building for us in Bedminster.
Yeah, so we looked at number one, emergency truck access around the building. We know your ladder truck. Ron has mentioned it to me many, many times, the size of it. I can't, too many to list. And we basically designed it so that you have the ability to maneuver the fire truck around this side of the parking lot, or the eastern side of it has full access around here. That's why this area is striped over here like that, for the purposes of fire truck maneuverability to come in, around, and be able to make that turn and go through this parking lot side over here. And we also have maneuverability where they can come in and loop around through this parking lot to go back out for access to the building. And they can go down this leg as well towards the lower portion of the building. So we do have fire truck accessibility around the entire building. I'll defer to the architect. I believe the building is sprinklered, correct? Yes, the building's fully sprinklered. So we have that as well for it in terms of that access. But the building height, I believe, just to confirm,
It'll be the same as it was.
we are at
It's not changing.
55 feet, which is consistent with the prior approval for the 3 stories.
And the total number of egress doors on the entire building,
I'll have to defer to the architect on that one. But the egress,
they're in different places.
there's multiple egress points. You could see them on the plan here. You can see an egress door right here. Again, I'm not sure,
Okay,
there's
yeah.
a lobby door here where you can come in. And if I pan down, you're going to see those 3 doors I mentioned over here that come from the hallway. There's another exit door. I'll zoom in a second, on the back of the building right here.
I'm getting dizzy.
Sorry. And then you have the other lobby that's on the east side. So there's multiple points of entry and exit to the building.
Thanks.
Yeah, Chairman.
Or just go back to the garbage for a second.
Yeah.
Like you said, like internal rooms for storing the garbage, and then brought outside. Brought outside in what? Like what's that process be?
And the architect should be able to answer this as well, but if my understanding is it's roll containers that are roll wheels. There's containers with wheels on them. They wheel them out during the days of garbage pickup, and they bring them back in when when it's done.
So they'll just sit out there until the truck comes?
Yeah, usually it's the truck. Usually they'll bring it out in the morning. The architect will be able to answer better the operation of it.
Anyone else on the board? No? Rob, are you,
I mean, that pretty much covers my direct, and I'm going to defer the rest of the zoning and everything to Mr. Kenny when he comes up to go over zoning and such.
okay, all right, Janine, well, let's open it up to the public.
Yes, so if anyone is on, which again, I don't believe there is, or if anyone here has a question for Mr. Michelle, you can come up to the podium, use the handheld mic, or you can raise your hand if you're online. Unmute yourself, let us know that you have a question.
Madam Chair, this is Paul Ferrero.
Yeah, Paul.
I had a question that I raised in my review letter regarding the phasing of the project. I don't know if Rob can talk about that or someone else will. And if he does talk about it, I would request that he zoom out far and not slide around so much because I have run out of Dramamine and I'm having a difficult time.
Okay.
No problem, Paul. I just went to my overall proposed site plan here just to talk about this briefly. The intent of the construction is the entire retail mixed use portion of the project will be built at one time. That's the entire, mixed use portion up here. We do have to do some, I'll call it internal phasing with the bank lot in terms of how that's going to remain in use while we're constructing the retail and the residential, but that's just some internal coordination that we will have when we construct that. But the intent is to build the entire mixed use portion of the project, the whole northern side in one sitting, and then just a small portion of the office parking, which is phase one, which is delineated on our site plans down here. Based on KRE's current tenant makeup, they feel that the existing parking in the office side would be adequate for now, and then as time goes on, if they need to, they'll construct the other phases of the parking lots, which are phases 2, 3, and 4, as needed. But for right now, it's the mixed use retail and that small portion of phase one for the parking, Paul.
I would ask that when we get to the point of having a pre-construction meeting, that we get a phasing plan to see how the bank and the mixed use building are being constructed and how that can be all coordinated.
Yeah, we're actually preparing documents internally for the Bank of America folks to review with KRE, and we'll provide that information to you as well, at the pre-con meeting.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Good, thank you, Paul. Anything else from the public? Not seeing any, we'll close that portion. Okay, next witness.
Thank you, Mr. Moscello. I would like to now call Jack Raker, registered architect of Minnow Wasco.
Mr. Ricker, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
And Jack, please state your name, spell your last name, and give us at least a business address.
My name is Jack Raker, Raker. The address is 204 North Union Street in Lambertville, New Jersey.
Jack, have you previously testified before Bedminster Land Use Board?
I have not.
Okay, I guess if you and Larry would go over some minimal qualifications, I'm sure you're qualified, but let's just put on the record.
Sure, Tom. Mr. Raker, could you give the board the benefit of your educational and professional qualifications?
Sure. I have a bachelor's in architecture from the New Jersey Institute of Technology. I've been practicing in this field of architecture, mixed use residential architecture, for the past 30 years. I've testified before hundreds of boards across the state of New Jersey. I am currently, my license in New Jersey is current and in good standing.
Thank you. We request that you find Mr. Raker qualified to provide expert testimony in the field of architecture.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So what I'm showing you up on this on the screen right now is a partial plan. And what happens for this building, Burnt Mills Road is higher than the grades down toward the stream, almost a full story. So we have a 3-story building, but at the very back, we have a very small basement area that we can do some of our utilities, our trash, we can do some tenant storage. We do have some units down there as well. So it gives us some opportunities. So on the
on this side of the building, you'll be looking at it, it actually looks like 4 stories, but on the Burnt Mill side, it's 3 stories. So down at this level, we have our trash room. That trash room is located, it's in gray. It's at the top left side. That trash room, there are trash rooms that stack on every floor of the building, and they have chutes. Tenants go over to the trash room on their floor, and they drop their trash down the chute. It goes down to a compactor. That compactor compacts the trash and puts it into a 3-yard dumpster. That 3-yard dumpster is very manageable. It's on wheels, and it's stored in the trash room until it's trash day. Trash day happens fairly frequently. When the building's not so occupied, it's maybe once or twice a week. Once it gets fully occupied, it'll be there, maybe every other day. So what happens during trash day, they take those containers, they wheel them down a corridor that goes out to that outside of the building, and they put those dumpsters right outside. They know when that trash truck is coming. It's a private hauler. These trash trucks run a pretty regular route. They're there within usually around a half an hour of a time. They bring those containers out. They sit out there. The trash truck comes. It's an articulated arm. They grab them. They dump them in, and then they're off. Then management.
How many dumpsters are there?
It's hard to say. It's the volume of trash, but there may be 2 dumpsters. It depends upon the frequency as well. There may be 2. They're just, they're manageable by hand. They're not, it's like a very large home trash container. It's very large.
I just wondered how many of them you have. 2 doesn't sound.
Well, they'll have a few in the building because they want to make sure that they can handle whatever trash is coming down the chute. I doubt that they always get full, but they always have extra just in case. And then they're just rolled out at time of pickup. There's plenty of space out at the loading area for the trash truck to come and pick them up.
And there's 1 chute for the whole building?
There are 2. At this level, there's only 1. It's in the top. That trash room is in the top left corner. It's big enough to have the trash compactor in it and extra 3-yard dumpsters to hook up to it. It's all automatic. These sort of dumpsters are ready to hook up to these compactors. It pushes the compacted trash into the dumpster, and then they can be rolled out.
What about the recycling?
Recycling, so I'm not sure we've decided how we're going to manage recycling just yet. There are 2 methods for managing it. One, there's bins in the trash rooms on every floor, and that's collected by management and then brought down to the trash room. The other is it's a sorter. So you go up to the trash chute and you say, I'm hitting recycling, and then you dump your recycling down the chute, and that goes into a separate area where it can be recycled. And then then you hit trash and you put your trash down the chute, and that goes into the trash container. So there are pluses and minuses to both methods. You're relying on people to push the right button, to put their trash down the chute. If you're collecting it in the trash rooms, it's more reliable, but you do have to then carry recycling through the building, which is not desirable.
For the board's benefit, we'd be happy to provide a trash and recycling plan as part of resolution compliance here to the satisfaction of Paul, board's engineer. We'll lay it all out for you guys so that you have that on record for what our operations will be.
Sure you can.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So, in Somerset County, and I don't know if it's the same all over, that we separate some of the recycling as well. So therefore, if you were to use this automated system, it would have to really have 3 choices instead of 2.
So yeah, then that would be part of, like I said, it's not decided at this point because we haven't put together that plan yet and understanding all the county requirements. So like they said, they'll put together a plan to manage all of the recycling and the trash, and you'll get that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. So additionally, at this level, we have bike storage. So there's plenty of bike storage. It's going to be, we know we're getting a lot of e-bikes now. So there'll be plenty of room in these rooms for both e-bikes and regular bicycles. We also have tenant storage at this level. There are people who have seasonal stuff. There's not enough room in the apartment to store some seasonal stuff, so they can rent some storage space within the building that they can bring down and put that down in that storage area.
I think like lockers or cages.
Yeah, very similar to that. This is all.
So if you ride your bike there, You could put it in this room?
Yes, lock it up in the room.
And power
And
needs to be charged.
if it's an e-bike charger, you can bring it in and you can charge it there as well.
And then neighborhood kids, if they want, they can put their bike in there?
Yeah. Yeah, it's better than having them walk through the building with their bike and bringing it up to their room.
No, I'm saying, if you go to the restaurant, you wanna ride your bike.
Oh, no. So that's different. There's actual bike stands outside of the outside along the front where you can just ride your bike up and lock it.
So is that too? Somebody was gonna.
Well, the landscape architect will point out all those locations for you.
And what about the fire issue? With the e-bikes, I mean, you're putting them inside?
So, yeah, we can put them inside. At this level, this is a concrete level. So this is almost all non-combustible at this level.
Good.
Before we had mentioned, there were some fire concerns. I'll point out all the stairwells in the building, but this building is, while it can be sprinkled 13R, we're going to fully sprinkler it with a type 13 system.
Okay.
We can go to the next slide.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, just one question. The e-bike inside a building, there's a lot of entities that are getting away from putting things inside buildings and putting them in some other type of enclosures and such. Is there going to be some other special considerations for that room for fire protection?
If there is well, it's a fully sprinkled building, so there'll be plenty of sprinkler heads in that room. But if we'll work with your fire department, and if they have reservations about it, we'll just not use e-bikes in that room.
Continue.
It does
Go ahead.
invoke sort of the question of, since we know e-bikes are becoming so popular, people will have them. If they don't put them in that room for whatever reason, as Brian suggested, it might be a hazard. Would they then take them up to their apartment, and would it be a hazard there?
I don't believe that we would do that, but that's a management issue. I'm not sure how that would be managed. At that point.
There would have to be a policy for management that you cannot bring bikes into the building, e-bikes into the building.
But if I can't bring it in the building, where am I gonna put it?
So
The sprinklers will never be able to handle.
I mean, a solution could be they just have there's some outlets outdoors that they could be charged and then just brought in after they're charged.
Yeah, we can talk about this. It's not, the issue is not the charging, it's the fully charged battery.
We'll abide by all fire codes and local codes, and we'll work with you guys on this. I mean, I know e-bikes are fairly new technology. We're going to abide by all state and local codes on
We
this.
just gotta find a balance of it. So you don't want someone to bring it to their apartment.
Understood.
And then do things in their, or their condo or whatever, and do there, because this, whatever's going in the building is absolutely not gonna handle a battery fire.
Understood.
If you have a special designated area that's built up special for it and it's enhanced with it, so that's asking for the consideration for that. So just a little bit above being in a special area specifically, that's where e-bikes are gonna be stored, rather than one area that's designed for it. Eliminate through management or whatever, people bring them to their apartments if possible.
I think we can agree to having the dedicated area for the bikes there and work with your engineers on what that needs to be from a fire code perspective.
Okay, so at this level, this is the main level, the retail level that fronts Burnt Mills Road. And then you can see there's a small little pinkish area to the right. That's the residential lobby that fronts the parking to the right. That's where tenants could, from that parking area, access that lobby to go up to their room. The larger pinkish area to the left, that's the main lobby and leasing area. That's where there'll be plenty of amenities, and I'll show some sample pictures of the types of amenities that we'll have, and that'll be the next slide. But what I want to talk about is the deliveries for the building, which really was just touched on briefly. So FedEx and UPS and Fresh Direct and Uber and everybody will go to that front door. And we have a small drop-off area there where you can pull up, pull in, and drop your FedEx packages off or drop your UPS stuff off. There'll be a mailroom, a package room inside that lobby space, and tenants will be notified when they have a package or mail.
You can use a pointer or help us out, to see examples, or maybe you want to stand up there. And
I can,
use your.
if I could just use this, it'd be great.
I'm looking at the plans on my phone, so you can print it out.
So, can you see my cursor here?
Yeah.
That's
The cursor is hard to follow.
Yeah,
That's a
you can
universal
move
comment. It's not just
Okay,
one thing.
I can grab the microphone and walk up to the front.
Thank you.
So this is the lobby and amenity area, this lobby and amenity space. And you can see this hatched area just outside that front door. That's where you can come up, the truck can come in, pull up to that hatched area, drop off any kind of stuff that is needed, it's brought into a package room that's inside, and then, or mail, if it's a mail truck, or picking up somebody, they know they'll be notified that their Uber's here, and they can just come down, get in, and take off. So that's all managed right here. Inside, there's a lobby, a leasing area. So there's a leasing agent that's going to be inside and there to manage all the packages and notify the tenants when there's something to be done.
Is there a concierge desk there where someone comes into the lobby? Or how is that? And like, who's actually notifying for packet? I'm just curious if something's coming versus just.
It's usually the leasing agent that is managing it, but if they have a full-time concierge, that person will be in charge of doing something like that. I just wanted to show you some of the samples of the, these are actually amenity spaces that KRE has built in the past. They're very high quality materials, very well amenitized. Big space, you see pool tables, seating areas with fireplaces. There's the fitness areas for gyms where people can go and work out. Small seating areas and some co-work spaces. Next slide, please. Again, you can see some more. This is more of a co-work space where you get some areas where you can sit with a laptop, plug it in. You know, a lot of people are working from home still a couple days a week at least. And this gives you the ability not to just sit in your apartment, but you go down with other tenants and work, and you almost feel like you're in an office space. But you know, usually a great room, lounge, it's all listed here. Leasable party room, library, screening room, game room, fitness center, yoga studio, sports simulator. Those are very popular nowadays. It's not just golf, but you can do baseball. You can do a lot of different things.
And where are these amenities in the building itself?
Could you go back a slide?
In that pink space, right?
In that big lobby on the west side.
So that's all located in this pink area here.
Yeah.
Yes.
All that's going on in there?
Yeah, yeah.
How many square feet is that?
That's about 8,000 square feet.
8,000?
Mhm.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next, go to the, go back one. Just want to make sure I hit all the amenities. Yeah, so there'll be package lockers and a pet spa. Actually, those are very popular because you don't want to wash, if you have a dog or a cat, you don't want to wash them necessarily. Sometimes you have a small sink or tub and you're leaning over. They provide these pet spas where you can, you know, it's a larger table. You can wash your dog at the level that you're at, and they have little dryers. You can dry them. They're really a popular amenity in these apartments. Next.
I've seen them.
So this is a typical lot layout. You can see we're showing the different types of units wrapping around here. We've labeled all of the low and moderate units labeled as COA units. They're sprinkled all throughout the building. You wouldn't know if you walked these hallways which one was and which one was not. In fact, if you walked into one, they're likely appointed very similar to all of the other units. You wouldn't know even just walking into one. Next slide, please.
What would the difference be, if any?
Sometimes they're slightly smaller. You know, if this is round 4, they're only allowed to be a certain amount smaller. If it's round 3, they can be somewhat smaller. There's minimums on the sizes. And I can show you some typical, they're all open floor plans. So they have an open living, dining, kitchen area, bedroom. Usually typical 2 bedrooms have 2 baths. And, you know, is a 1 bedroom, still large, open living space. Go and I'll show you some typical KRE apartment buildings.
Can we enlarge that a little bit? Can that be zoomed in a little?
Zoom into, say, this unit right here.
Yeah, any one of them, just so.
Or that one. That's fine. So they all have a washer and dryer in the unit.
And that's a 1 bedroom?
This is a 1 bedroom unit. Yeah, you can see the kitchen with an island. They have a nice large living space. And then bathroom, and washer dryer, as well as a nice large bedroom. You can see a small mechanical unit that's in there. Every unit will get a mechanical unit. And then there's a condenser on the roof, and I'll point that out when we get to the roof plan that that controls that each unit. So
Condensing unit.
There's going to be 140 condensers up on the roof. We've created these wells in the roof that you won't see them, but they're up on the roof. Pan down to the 2-bedroom and I'll just quickly walk through that one. So again, 2-bedroom, large living dining area with the kitchen, another bedroom here, primary bedroom. It's got the bath access, direct access to the bath. The other bedroom access through a closet, but that's the bathroom that you can access from the common space.
And what's the square footage on that?
This one is 1189, the 2-bedroom.
Okay.
And then next slide, please. I'll show you some sample pictures. So these are some samples. You have a nice terrace on almost all the units. We'll get a terrace. And then see the way the design of the kitchens, very well appointed, granite countertops, sometimes stainless steel appliances, nice eating areas, bedroom, well appointed. And then you can see the door out to the terrace.
All those terraces face the courtyard?
They face outward in some areas and some they face the courtyard. When I get to the elevation, I can point some of the terraces out to you. Next slide, please. So we have the roof plan. So you can see we've created these little wells. It's a pitched roof. We've created these little wells that go down into the roof, and we can put all these condensers in those wells. You won't see them from the road. When you're walking around the building, you'll just see the roof, and we've hidden all of the mechanical systems from view. Next slide. This is my last slide. We comply with the building height of 55 feet. We do have some lights mounted to the building. They're all down lighting, and they're accent lights at the entries. So we have lights at the retail, and we have lights at the primary entry to the residential, and everything is downlit. But they're really accent lights. They're not for lighting any of the surfaces. They're just to point out the locations on the building at nighttime. And that's it. I can point to some of the terraces. So you can see terraces here, 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 here. You can locate them here. We usually put them in a location. We accent them with a roof, a pitched roof. And that's it. That's the rest of my test. That's the last of my testimony.
Board, anything?
One question, I was taking a look at the floor plan, elevator access. First of all, the elevators that you're showing on there, I assume they're going to be large enough for people to move, put furniture in on a moving day, right?
Absolutely.
And the only thing I'm concerned about is that it looks like you only have a single cab in the main lobby and a single cab for the other lobby, right? Is that going to be enough for a building that size? People aren't going to be standing around waiting forever for the elevator?
Yeah, the new Gen 2s move pretty quickly. It's not an old hydraulic elevator like they used to, move much slower. These are much faster elevators, but we'll work with a elevator utility elevator consultant. And if they tell us we need to add one, we can add one.
So, I mean, you might want to consider a second one, at least on the west lobby. And that's the only one that has access to the lower level too, right?
Yeah, that one we have, and that one would be dedicated for when move-ins happen.
Right, okay.
Anybody else on the board?
Do you have a picture of where the stairwells are?
Sure. Could we go back to that main floor plan?
Zoom in a little bit.
So we have a stairwell over here, a stairwell here, and a stairwell at the end of this corridor here. So there are 3 stairwells in the building. And the way there was discussion about fire access around the building, and that actually affects how we design the fire areas in the building. These building will be broken up into different fire areas, and each fire area needs to be served by a stairwell. So we haven't determined where that is yet, but we usually look at the building, the layout, determine where we can create a nice firewall in the building. And that means we create a wall that goes all the way from the roof right down to the grade that prevents, usually a 2-hour rated wall that prevents fire from spreading across the building. So each area is self-contained.
Can you show again where the stairwells are?
Sure. There's one here. There's one here.
Wait, that one. The one.
Second one?
That one, where?
This one?
Yeah, there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's one here, here, and here. Oh, and there's an additional one here.
I was gonna say there's a fourth one.
Yeah, there are two that go all the way down to to the ground level.
And this one ends up in the lobby.
If we can open it up.
I have another question. Sorry, I know it's getting late, but is this structure a concrete block structure? Is it wood frame? No one's talked about what it's built, made of.
Sure, there's portions of the structure that are concrete and portions of the building that are wood frame. We haven't fully determined the extents. We have some large spans over the lobby space. So we want to make sure that we can make those spans. You can't do that with wood, so we're probably going to do that with concrete. That lower level, majority of that is going to be concrete. The retail area, that's going to be concrete because you can see it's all open. There's no intermediate bearing walls. And we want to be flexible in the retail area, whether tenants change over time, we want to make sure we can shift and move those walls around with a lot of flexibility.
Okay.
But for the apartments, you have, under the code, you could build 4 stories stick. And
Yes, yeah.
primarily be stick construction.
That's correct. So in and around those areas that I discussed is wood frame construction.
I think we can open it up to the public again, Janine.
Again, if there's anyone online, you can unmute yourself, raise your hand. If you are in the audience and you'd like to come up, you can come up to the podium.
Come on up.
You have to come up to the podium.
Just wondering, don't see any,
Address, please.
Yeah.
I didn't notice any play areas for children.
You have to start with giving your name.
Sorry.
And-
Yeah, my name is Michael Prendergast, Prendergast. I live at 917 Timberbrook Drive in Bedminster, 07921.
Thank you.
I was just looking at the plans. I don't see any play areas for children.
So while we didn't just show you the layout of the amenity space, we just called it amenity. We didn't actually list a play area. Usually there is some area near the fitness area that that kids can go and play. It's geared to very small children.
Anything outdoors? Playground area, anything like that?
Nothing. I'll let the landscape architect talk about, what's being done out in the outdoors.
Yeah, that's my only question. Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Online? No one?
Not online, no.
Okay, we'll close it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Our next witness is Tom Bauer from Lilo Bauer and Carmen. Good evening, Mr.
Good evening. Sir, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I did.
And please state your name, spell your last name, and give us a business address.
Yes, certainly. My name is Thomas Bauer, Bauer. My office address is 200 Union Avenue in Brielle, New Jersey.
Mr. Bauer has been previously qualified by the board as an expert in landscape architecture. We'd like that qualification to continue.
Yes, he will be accepted as a certified landscape architect. Please go ahead, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Good evening, folks. You've heard plenty of testimony about the site plan today, so I don't have to go over that with you, but I'm here. I'd like to accomplish several things tonight. I'll talk a little bit about the landscape of the entire site, both outside the building and inside the courtyard. We'll talk about, and I would like to emphasize a little bit of the hardscape discussion having to do with the retail area and that courtyard that you've been introduced to. We then jump across the loop road and I'll talk a little bit about the Pluckerman Schoolhouse Park and what the improvements are that we'll be proposing there. And then lastly, I'll finish up with a presentation of the signage throughout the site, which is critical. So with that, I will very simply tell you that from a landscape perspective, we maybe next slide. Where are slides? Next slide, if you would, John, please. Throughout the entire site,
we have a very, very extensive palette of material that includes shade trees, evergreens, flowering trees, certainly ornamental grasses and shrubs, and extensive ground cover. So our goal is to create a landscape that has four-season interest throughout the year. We're proud of what this is going to look like. We're trying to complement the beautiful architecture with the attractive landscape. On this slide, as you can see along Burton Mills Road, we have street trees, shade trees, if you will, lining the street. There's a mix of oaks and maples along that area. Throughout the site, we have 5 or 6 different varieties of shade trees for various seasonal color throughout the year. I do want to point out in this area, the courtyard, as we've referred to. It's really a shared area between vehicles and cars. Vehicles and pedestrians. That entire brown area in front of the retail, the central area, we refer to as a plaza, if you will. You heard testimony earlier that it can be closed off to traffic at any point in time for perhaps a community event such as a farmer's market or an arts and crafts fair. It was mentioned a tree lighting earlier by Mark. It's a great area. It will also act as a speed table. You heard testimony that it is flush. However, it is slightly elevated, so it will slow traffic as cars are driving through it, when and if cars do drive through it. There is some parking in that area. So on a normal day when it is open, cars can park in that area. But when it is closed, it will just be for pedestrians on a rare occasion, maybe on a Saturday afternoon or that kind of function when a community event will take place. There is a seat wall in front. You see the curved area facing the street, and I'll show you a few slides later that we have a graphic signage on that says the Bedminster chapter on it. Right behind that seat wall are bicycle racks. We've had questions about where bicycle parking is. I think that we have enough parking there for 20 bicycles to park right behind that wall as part of that paver courtyard. There's also some bicycle parking to the right of the retail area. You see the retail area in blue. To the right corner, as Chris is pointing out, there's another 10 or 12 bicycle parking spaces in that location. So I think that's ample to provide adequate bicycle parking for the retail components. Let me jump to the next slide. And we're going to talk about, this was a view. I have a couple of perspective views of this area. You saw this same view at nighttime. This is that view in daytime. And you can see again, in the foreground, this is Burton Mills Road in front of us. You can see the curved wall that serves as a seat wall. It has signage on it. We'll talk about it a little bit more detail. It says the Bedminster chapter right there. The bicycle parking is right behind that. You'll notice closely that we also have 3 flagpoles coming up out of that wall. In the center is American flag, there's New Jersey flag, and then there's the chapter flag to the right side. So 3 flags there, which will provide some color and amenity in that area. This area, again, I mentioned it's a speed table. It's beautifully decorated with rich pavers. There are string lights that will go across this area. So it's really a great public space, if you will, that as the front door of the retail area. Next slide, please. This is a little bit closer look of that retail frontage. Again, you can see the decorative pavement on the ground plane. The attention to detail is something that's very important to us, with a different mix of various paving materials and color. You can see the site furniture, umbrellas, site signage above the canopies for the doors, and you get a feel for the string lights. Of course, there's residences above. We're all looking down upon this area for a very, very attractive view out of their homes. Next slide. You've heard testimony about the outdoor dining area. This is that corner, the left corner of the retail. If we think about the plan on the left corner, this area immediately in front of us is covered. Outdoor dining, perhaps off of a restaurant. You can see, get a feel for the movable furniture that we anticipate along the retail streetscape. And again, the lush amount of plant material and numerous varieties of plant material, again, for seasonal interest. Lighting on the entire site, I should mention lighting. We have pole-mounted lighting throughout the parking lot and sidewalk areas. There are some bollard lights along this back area on the south side that I'll point out. And then there are string lights across the courtyard area. So the entire site is very well lit with all LED fixtures. Next slide, please. If we jump to the southern side, this is the southern portion of the building that fronts the stream. And I'll tell you, if you're not familiar with it, it's a beautiful area. That stream is a lovely area, very park-like feeling. it's perhaps one of the nicest spots to rent a unit in this area because we're overlooking that wooded area in the stream. It's a very pleasant area that today is a parking lot out there. Will be turned into a very nice space. And you heard testimony from Rob about the pedestrian circulation. Some of that walkway is existing, so it'll give the opportunity for pedestrians, for residents and public to circumvent the entire site. Again, lush plant material added to some of the existing material that is along the stream corridor. On this slide, stay there for a moment, John. On this slide, let me point out that what was referred to as the donut in the center, that is an outdoor amenity area. I don't think anyone's touched on that yet today. There will be several amenities, about a 10,000 square foot outdoor space, about a quarter of an acre, if you will. There will be private patios for the units, for the homes that are at grade level to enjoy the outdoor space there. There will also be balconies up above, as Jack Raker indicated. On that plan, we currently show a pool in there, in addition to some other features such as a fireplace, an outdoor television, perhaps a bocce court or a lawn area for casual relaxation. We're not sure about the pool because it's a small area. A pool area, as we all know, is closed for 3 months or closed for 9 months of the year. It's open only 3 months. So ownership is considering not doing a pool in lieu of other amenities that would be more usable for the 12 months of the year. So that's an area inflexible, but it's a terrific amenity for the private use of the residents. And next slide. And this is, you've seen us at the nighttime shot. This is a daytime shot of the retail front door. You can see the Bedminster chapter signage up above, and you see the drop-off area with the change in pavement with some rich textured pavement as a drop-off area for Uber or a resident drop-off pickup, that kind of thing. Next slide. This is a little bit of closer look there. You can see the attention to detail again in the pavement, the graphics, the signage, the building materials, the potted plants as an extension of the landscape throughout the site. Again, for a year-round interest in the landscape. And the next slide. We're going to take a look at the park here for a moment. There you go. So we talked about direct access, sidewalk access being extended along Burnt Mills Road. So we have direct access to the park. We are then extending a new sidewalk down into the park from Burnt Mill Road that will access the ball field, the basketball courts, and the new pickleball courts that we will be constructing, as you know. In addition to the pickleball courts, we also have some picnic tables that we're adding into the area above and near the playground area. There is landscape shade trees and flowering trees added into the park as well. In the center median of the parking lot, that will be tree lined. There are trees around the picnic area and then trees down along the ball field as well. So these are some very nice improvements to the park. There is a playground there. Someone that was mentioned, the question was asked about play for kids. We do not anticipate many children in this community. It's mostly young professionals and young toddlers, perhaps. But kids of age would be able to use this park if necessary. But there would be no additional playground as part of our community other than this area here. Question.
One second, yeah. So I may not be informed, but you've already made agreements with the township to refurbish this park for us?
Yes, we have.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, this is the condition of our prior approval. We intend to honor that. So
Thank you.
Yes,
That's really nice.
yeah, that's a nice addition. Yeah, very nice. Okay, next slide. We're now going to talk a little bit about signage. I've got a number of signs here, and I'm going to read right through these and simplify this. But signage is very, very important, and we've done a very, very nice job, I think, graphically and informationally to provide project identification as well as wayfinding throughout the entire site. So our first slide is going to address the retail monuments. Okay, this is the residential area. I'm sorry, this is the retail area. The next slide. Yeah, so I've got the retail monument. As you can see, there's a little key plan up in the top left, a little bit hard to see, but up on the corner of the Loop Road and Burnt Mills Road is a retail monument. It will be utilized for retail tenants only with property branding, as you can see here, the C and the Bedminster chapter logo. It will be halo lit for illumination and downlit from under the canopy, a downlit. So there is no uplighting anywhere, I should point out. Everything is either halo lit or downlit. Next slide.
Excuse me 1 second, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
I can't see from here. What is the dimension of that monument?
That's about 8 feet high by 9 feet wide.
Okay, so
And I should point out also that it's actually replacing all of the three existing signs that are now. So
Okay,
instead
so-
of having an assemblage of signs, we're incorporating into
Right.
one monument
So
sign.
this is in clear violation of our codes for signage. And I don't know if anyone's talked about coming back at a later date to do variances for signage.
Yeah, I think that you're going to hear a variance testimony from our next witness, Larry, right? Correct?
Sure, we think we can accomplish all that this evening. We have Tom's going to give you a detailed overview of all the signs, and then Mr. Kennedy's going to go through all the variances we would need for the signage. And it's quite a few because of the wayfinding signage we need for the different uses on the site, but we believe they're all necessary.
Okay. So we'll list the signage, requests for signage, waivers or variances, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the things that happens in town is, we're very conscious of signage. And if you have an 8-foot monument sign like this and everyone's has this other little sign in town, it becomes a real issue. Like, how in the world did those group of people get, that kind of sign when we fight for 8 square feet kind of thing? So we might have to talk about that a little bit further. In my mind, I don't know what. Okay, no.
Sure. Mr. Bauer will give you all the signs that we're proposing, and Mr. Kennedy will go through the requests for the variances or the waivers that pertain to them. We'll walk you through all of them very slowly when Mr. Kennedy comes up.
Okay, thanks.
Next slide, John. So this is the, I'm going to walk up here a little closer so I can read this and. Yeah.
Try to zoom in, that's it.
Yeah. Our residential minimum, there are 2 of these. Again, if you see the corner on the residential side off of the Loop Road, we have 2 of these signs. These are 4 foot high by 8 foot wide. 2 of them to locate the residential entrances to the community. Residential building letters, again, the Bedminster chapter, we have at the residential entrance above the entry doors, hello lit letters to identify the building. The Bedminster chapter with the branding logo. Within the parking lot, we have several future resident parking lots. I think we have 4 of these spaces identified as future resident parking.
What's that mean? Neutral resident parking?
Sorry?
I don't understand. What is that?
It says future resident parking. This will be located at parking spaces on the residential side of the building.
What do you mean by
Dedicated
future?
spaces for
Yeah, what do
future
you mean by
parking.
future?
Future resident, what do you mean? Future resident parking.
What does that mean?
I mean, you're
going further.
You're gonna come into.
all right.
You're gonna lease and you're gonna check it out and see what the difference is. That's future tenants.
Future.
We actually anticipate it. This is going to become a residence.
Yeah.
It's something.
We try to manifest the leasing to it, turn it into leasing.
Future, you're definitely a future resident.
You heard about the loading and service.
I thought everybody was a
Sign that we
future
like there.
resident.
It's 2 feet wide by 4 feet high. Okay, and it provides directional visibility for vehicular traffic. Again, located in the corner where the loading area is. Resident only parking is next. Resident parking, again, located in this area. We talked about that parking in green is dedicated to residential parking. There will be 2 of these signs located in that area.
That's on the east side?
That's on the east side, that's right.
2.
2 of those. Resident parking, yes.
I mean, these signs like buy one get one free, you got a lot of signs.
Yeah,
It's like,
really.
there's double.
Do they have lights? These signs?
This one is non-luminous. Does not have lights.
Can you blow and where? Yeah. I can't tell where these.
Yeah, it's very, I apologize, let's keep it. This is the green, remember the green parking stalls?
Yeah.
Up to the top right, that's the parking only, so details in front of it. This is resident only parking.
So you need 2 of them?
Yes, We're
And
proposing
what are they gonna go on either side or?
If you can you enlarge this, John? Here you go. One at the entrance to each drive aisle.
And the intent of this, we've studied a lot of different configurations. It came up earlier about how are we going to separate retail traffic versus residential traffic. We looked at gates, like some sort of physical barrier, and we ended up thinking that due to fire access and trying to keep the site as open as possible, that the least intrusive method that we could do was put these two wayfinding signs here that signal this area of the parking lot is for residents. So residents only.
Okay, and it's 4 foot by 2 foot, did you say?
That's correct.
2 feet wide by 4 feet high.
Okay.
All of the green banner signs that you'll see are the same dimension.
Next slide.
And how high off the ground?
It's
Are-
4 feet high.
4 feet high.
4 feet. So there's no,
No.
from the ground, 4 feet.
4 feet. That's right.
Okay.
Let me jump to retail signs. Again, in this location, next slide, John. I'll take a little bit about these. So again, this is we're in inches, right? This is like same size, 8 by 9, roughly. This is the retail sign at Burt Mills Road, at the main entrance off of Burt Mills Road. There will be this sign, masonry sign with the branded logo and the tenants to be determined, obviously, and they will be halo lit. One main entry sign.
And it's perpendicular to,
Yes, it is perpendicular to Burt Mills Road.
the only issue with some of those. Sometimes you're blocked, you can't see depending on where you're coming in and out. I hope you take that into consideration.
I think, again, it's perpendicular so you can see it and provide you from either direction.
Well,
You
know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
it have to be set back.
We've cited them at least 10 feet back from the drive aisles.
Yeah,
Lots
because-
of clients, we have Gary Hughes looked at all the site
Yeah,
triangles.
because there's some signs in town that are too close.
Totally. We've set them back off the street so that they don't block.
I think the code is 15 feet, actually.
Then that is the number. Those are compliant as far as setbacks.
Okay. Next slide. And this is our branding. We have 2 of these locations for branding. As you can see, the C is the branding logo. And this is on the, this sign will be located near the corner of the retail where we had the open outdoor seating, which gives you directions to where the leasing office would be around the corner. So a branding logo and a lobby and leasing directional sign on that portion of the building. Next slide. And then again, branding logo, the chapter, the Bedminster chapter logo on the main facade up high above the building. There'll be a nice detail to graphically to identify the building. Next slide. Then tenant signs. Obviously, these are 3 different elevations. There will be some tenant signs that are wall mounted. Some will be awning mounted. These 2 are wall mounted and awning mounted. And again, they would all be halo lit. And 24 square feet maximum for each sign.
24 square feet?
Yes.
What do those signs say for tenants?
It would be whatever, again, to be determined. It would be, right now, it's just say, graphically say retail ABCD, but it would be whatever. It would be. If it's a
What is
restaurant,
the dimension again?
6 by 4, right?
24 square feet is what we propose.
24 square
Yes.
feet.
Yes.
6 by 4. 4
And
by
how many businesses is that for approximately?
To be determined, we are anticipating a maximum of 7 shops.
So you could have 7 different names.
That's right, yes.
There will
Yes.
be 1 per tenant.
Yes.
So if we end up with 2, we have 2.
So each one will have approximately a 2 by 12 sign, each 7.
Thanks. Yes,
One.
as a maximum. Be small. Next slide. Take us to the wall. This is our sit wall, again, the curved wall facing Burt Mills Road, where we'll indicate the branding C and the Bedminster chapter on a 3-foot high masonry wall. Okay. And that will be halo lit as well. Sorry. And these are just some graphic examples. This is an example of what halo lit looks like. The light is within the letter behind it. It certainly casts a very subtle light on the wall behind it. Edge lit is another example of a type of sign of lighting that can happen. And then, of course, when we talk about washing down from the coping of a wall, as an example, this is what that would look like. So again, no uplighting anywhere. So, and then there's bank signage as well. Yeah, so Bank of America, again, we have to, we're coordinating with Bank of America still to be determined, but we do feel like we need some double-sided signs. We need to identify the drive-through in each direction. Again, these would be the same 2 feet high, 2 feet wide by 4 feet high. So very subtle. And again, these would be replacing some of these signs that exist on site today. And again, we're coordinating out with the bank. And then there will be a sign, there will be a what's called a clearance monument. I think it's 9 feet high to limit the height of vehicles that can go through the drive-through.
That's at the bank.
Clearance.
Yeah, canopy, yeah.
At the bank doors, that's right, back to it. And then a couple more signs, wayfinding signs along the loop road. Next, yes, so just general directional sign, bank parking, again, the same size, 2 by 4, bank parking, drive-through, retail, where the residential lobby is as necessary along the loop road, and then throughout the site. I think we have 3 of these located. We may need 5. We're actually going to ask for an additional couple of signs. I want to make sure we have adequate wayfinding throughout the site. But again, I think graphically it would be strong to unify the entire site, and the scale is good, just 2 feet wide by 4 feet high. And I think that would really add to the whole ambiance of the community. Next slide. Wayfinding sign, again, this would be at the entrance off of 202, 206. Replacing this type of sign with the Bedminster 1 and Bedminster chapter, identifying the office facility as well as the residential and retail. Okay, next one, and a little bit more of that, same thing. In these 2 locations as necessary. Employee parking to be identified and service area to be identified. Again, replacing the employee parking and the service with better graphics, more improved signage. Next job. And that is that the extent of it? No, light bulb. Lastly, very important, along the loop road. I think we have 19 existing lights, street lights, that we would like to provide banners on. And these banners will be utilized to identify the Bedminster chapter, as well as other civic activities that the township may have. And it could be interchanged for community events.
So these are on the loop road.
On the loop road, yes, sir. Yeah, there are 19 poles there today existing. So
Yeah, this is good.
it'd be nice.
I don't know about this.
That's.
Yeah.
I like that. So if you're standing in front of the building on Burt Mills Road, what is the width we're talking about of the property?
Your width of the property, dimensionally?
Because I'm just trying to get it, because I'm looking, so at the front, at the lower street level, you get a Bedminster chat.
Yes.
Yeah.
3 foot. And then if you're looking a little above that, on the top when you walk in, it's gonna say Bedminster chapter. And if you look to the right, there's gonna be an 8 foot by 9 foot sign that says Bedminster chapter. And if you look right to your left, there's gonna be an 8 foot by 9 foot sign that says Bedminster chapter. And they're gonna have the name of all the tenants on each sign. And you're gonna just look at right in the front of you, and there's gonna be the names of the tenants right in front too. You can see, I'm already feeling a little overwhelmed by this. I could just be me.
No, it's not.
No, it's not you.
This is a lot.
We don't want you to get lost.
Get lost. You've got enough lighting, I assume, but
Right.
I think there's gonna be some discussion.
I think so.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. Lot going on. It might be.
It is. It's almost too much to absorb right now. To give you a little background, last year I was on the Bedminster Sign Committee, and so we look at all the different signs in town and all. And something like this with this many signs and this dimensions would have allowed our heads to explode in that committee. It's just way beyond anything we've had, anything close to in town.
Okay.
So we may have to take this as a separate issue or look at it different. I don't know. I mean, that's just how I feel.
I agree. I like the way you're trying to brand and everything. Don't get me wrong. I just think that I don't know if the site is needs all that, to be honest.
Maybe it's a matter of scale, perhaps.
Well, yeah, people might not, but that's a lot, and I don't know, maybe if you know, you of course want to identify the shops that were there, but we know that it's, I mean, I'm not gonna forget it's Bedminster Chap's one of these tonight. It seems like it might be a lot, so maybe we can investigate, but I love everything about it, but it might be a little bit.
If that was removed also from the sign, it reduces the overall sign itself. Remove the Bedminster chapter example, and you have the retail, but like see the retail right on the top of the stores.
Yeah, the front in two places, yeah.
Don't need the sign.
Maybe some redo or rethinking of the signage would be helpful.
Okay.
And,
That's fair.
and timing on the lights, well, what are you thinking as far as timing wise?
Time, I think certainly they will be, when during the daytime, during the active nighttime, they need to be at full illumination. And I think they can be dimmed after, perhaps after midnight, they can certainly be dimmed if we want to do that. But,
Yeah.
again,
So
ownership.
we're willing to, not to interrupt, but we're willing to kind of move on with our presentation then between our traffic expert and Mr. Kennedy, take a short break and come back and let you know what we want to do with the signs.
Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute break.
Not now, after we just want to get through our traffic engineer and then we'll take a short break and then come back.
Take a break before the traffic. I just, we're
If
ready.
if I could ask, I'm sorry, this is Paul Fro. If I could ask a question while a couple of questions while the witness is still there.
Sure. Sure.
This relates to my review memo, and I just wanted to confirm that the lighting along the loop road is being continued along the entire loop road, because it didn't seem like it that way on the plan. It only looked like a portion of the loop road.
It's continuous along the entire loop road, yes.
Okay. And the other question I had was about the halo lit signs that are in front of the glass areas. I have a concern when you've got the lights on, the LEDs on the back of those signs, and they're backed up to windows, and the glare that might reflect off that glass. Have you looked at that?
Those lights are not halo, they are edge lit, the light, the ones in front of the glass. So, yes.
So the edge lit.
No reflection on.
Describe what edge lit means then. I'm not quite sure I understand.
Yeah, it's we had a graphic that showed it. If we can go back, John. It's a more subtle light than the it's hard to tell here, but it's more subtle light than the halo light. We'll ensure that there will be no light reflected onto the glass.
That was all I had.
Okay.
So Paul, are you satisfied with the lighting plan as it stands right now?
Well, I had a number of comments in my letter, and I think they're all achievable in the context of resolution compliance. I do need to see some more information, however.
I think throughout the site there I think I counted 36 pole mounted lights throughout the parking area and pedestrian area, in addition to a dozen bollard lights along the walkway on the south side.
You have the strings, right?
And the string lights across the.
So, I mean, those have to be off at a certain time. You know, so you gotta come, make a proposal. Well, it's the same condition.
Okay, we can make that a condition of the approval.
Remind us, because it's been a while.
Yeah.
You don't know me out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, let's just open it up to the public for this witness. Janine?
So again, if anybody is online that has something that they'd like to say, raise your hand. You can just start to speak. You have to obviously be sworn in. If you're in the audience, you can come up to the podium.
Not seeing anyone, we'll move on. Okay, let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll come back, okay?
Thank you.
What did you say about the recycling? Yeah.
Signage.
County is picking.
Back?
Okay, we're back.
Okay, so we heard all of the board's comments regarding signage, and we've taken that all into consideration. We are willing to pull the signage out of the application tonight and go ahead with the rest of the components of the approval. And then what we would propose to do is come back and meet with the sign committee or whomever else at the board level to flesh out our sign proposal and then come back with a subsequent either reopen the application or come back on an amendment to this one to get the signs approved after we met with the sign committee.
Is that the sighting and the signs and the lighting, or just the signs?
We think we think the lighting is compliant, and your board professionals seem to think that as well, if I'm reading the review letters correctly, but
I'd like to see the nice lighting plan with your, when you turn off, turn on. That would be great. Very helpful.
As a condition of resolution compliance, absolutely.
right, we are willing to handle the lighting as a condition of resolution compliance for this application that we're here for tonight.
Yeah, I think the signage is just overwhelming, so that would be a good idea to come back separately.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So just to sort of put some meat on the bones to that with I guess Mr. Collins' input, would that be to pull the signage from this application and then to go before the sign committee? I just want to make sure we're clear.
I don't know. Here's my preference. The board will keep jurisdiction of the signage components and variances, and we'll set it for a date certain. And I don't really think we should have a sign committee reviewing a site plan. And but I am satisfied that some revamping of the sign application or the signage details, perhaps in coordination with Paul and Frank, could be done by the applicant before a scheduled public hearing that's continued without additional notices, so that this keeps moving, like maybe 2 months from now or something like that, but for 3 months, something that keeps you on course for what you would like to do, whatever you prefer.
Yes, we prefer to bring the site plan, the subdivision application, and all the rest of the relief by way of the D variances and the other variances not implicated in the signs to vote tonight and get that approval this evening if the board is so inclined to look favorably on those components, and then as you're saying, do the signage with the board having kept jurisdiction, but just doing that once that's fully fleshed out with your professionals and ours.
Yeah, and then the full board will hear what your revised signage is, and the full board would vote on it. We don't have a standing sign committee and I don't recommend that for a site plan application, especially not for a sign variance application.
Understood that we were simply going based on the comments regarding the sign committee, but this procedure is agreeable to us as well.
Yeah, just come back to this board.
Yes.
Right.
Professionals first, probably.
Yes.
Because they'll be able to root out a lot of that and then come back to the board with a final plan. That sounds makes sense. Right?
It does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. What date should we aim for that, Larry? Do you want to do? I'll leave it to you maybe before the end of the night to decide but a date certain when Janine has an open night. So.
Right now, all the Thursdays are open for 2026 and first and second. We do have some other applications that we're waiting on, right? Probably have, I don't know if they would come first. There's still Trump that you have to review. Hoagland, we're waiting on their attorney.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out and just
I don't know that we have to decide it tonight. I mean, if you guys want to.
Well, we do. If I would like them to be carried with a date certain, and they don't have to come renotice.
About a couple of months, Janine.
Oh, okay. I mean, like I said,
it's available, right, Larry?
Depends on how much time they need, I would say.
Yeah, but they're not. that part of the application isn't urgent because what they want is this other approval that they can get moving on.
Absolutely.
So they can come back in July or August and do.
Yeah, I mean, June 4th, June 11th, July 2nd, July 9th, August 6th, August 13th.
So Tom is saying we got to pick one now.
Before the end of tonight, we should pick a date that sign. The bifurcated or the separated sign application is being,
Anyone you guys want.
So fast.
Okay.
Depends on how much time you feel you need.
Yes, well,
We can fit you in.
the carry picks
They're open.
Yeah, they're
So
all open right now.
the first and second is
I
when we
would pick a
need.
date and, try to aim for that date.
Yes.
Whatever that is.
Mhm.
Let's continue and we'll decide on a date, okay?
Yes.
Let's go.
Good evening.
So I'd like to call Gary Dean, our professional engineer and traffic consultant, to provide traffic engineering testimony.
Traffic. Yep.
thank you. Mr. Dean, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, I do.
And please state your name, spell your last name, and give us at least a business address.
Certainly. Gary Dean, Dean. Professional address is 181 West High Street in Somerville, New Jersey.
Thank you. And the board recognizes and accepts Gary Dean as an expert in traffic engineering. Please
Thank
go
you.
ahead, Gary.
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
By way of brief background, I've been involved in this project since its inception when the rezoning was first considered. And as part of that, we had undertaken an extensive study, I'll say, to fix the Pluckerman signal that has long plagued the community as one of your primary traffic bottlenecks. Through that effort, and I will say through the collaborative effort between our office, the applicant, and the board's consultant at Stonefield Engineering, as you've heard this evening, NJDOT has finally endorsed the concept and has moved to official developer agreement documents, which are essentially a contract between the KRE, the applicant, and the DOT, setting forth the hows and the whens and the whys and the how much money to implement the traffic signal improvement. Relative to this application, candidly, if you like less traffic, this is the right application for you. As you've heard, there are 20 fewer residential units and approximately half of the retail square footage. As a result of those changes, there will be 26% less traffic in the morning peak hour with this iteration compared to the approved project, and 18% less evening peak hour traffic. And while it's not a whole lot, I mean, it's 35 to 40 cars, nevertheless, from a traffic engineer's perspective, less traffic is always better. I'll let the aesthetics of the project speak for itself, but I find that it is obviously in very high character, and I'll leave that to the board to your opinion. Rather than just coming in and saying, all right, less traffic, thank you and good night, at the request of the applicant, we nevertheless updated our traffic study with contemporary traffic data, recognizing that it was about 5 years ago when we did our counts. We were still in the lingering effects of the pandemic, and perhaps traffic wasn't quite as, I'll say, sustained or typical as it is now. So we updated our entire analysis. It confirms the viability of the DOT improvements at the traffic signal, going from, I'm sure you've heard other traffic consultants describe levels of service, going from E's and F, long delays, extensive backups, bringing that all the way up, cutting the delays in some cases in half to a very favorable level of service D. And at all of the site driveways, either at Burt Mills Road or 206, we will be even better at level of service C. All of that remains consistent with the reduced traffic from the amendment as you have tonight. Beyond that, we haven't changed any of our points of ingress and egress. We've certainly had consultation with the county, and certainly my findings tonight are the same as they were originally, that the access will continue to remain safe and efficient for this proposed amendment. But in general, as you've seen from the circulation, we're retaining the ring road. We have internal connections. We meet the parking standards. And I think the nature of the use between a retail component and residential still allows for a little element of shared parking, particularly for residents who may have visitors and guests that typically arrive either after hours or in the evening, as not only is Bedminster one, I'll say done for the day, but many of the retailers as well. So rather than oversizing the parking, we have come up with the appropriate supply. There are only two comments I had in Mr. Seckler's review, which we received today. And it pertains to the EV parking spaces. He has said that we need 15% of the total number. That's not entirely correct, only because DCA has said you don't need to put in EV where you have existing parking. It's only for new parking. And also there are different ratios between residential EV and commercial EV. We will document that to Mr. Ferrero's and Mr. Seckler's satisfaction, but much like ADA spaces, they're code. We have to comply, and the applicant is committed to do that.
Okay.
Beyond that, that's all I have, and I again hope that you would equally opine that or find that less traffic is certainly beneficial, though it may be modest. It's certainly an improvement from what you previously approved and considered. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Any board member?
I would agree with this witness.
I promise to be
approved the
short.
prior one. Why wouldn't we?
Here, you don't do signage for us too?
All right. Now,
Fine. Sorry.
So I have a question. I guess it's one night. Yeah. So, our traffic engineer, consultant says on the parking section 9, letter A, residential uses 1.8 parking spaces per 1-bedroom unit, 2.0 parking spaces per 2-bedroom unit, and 2.1 parking spaces per 3-bedroom unit. Would you say that you comply with that?
Well, there are a few nuances, and I don't want to go off on a tangent. RSIS standards only apply to residential developments that are standalone residential developments where they have their own separate parking areas, their own separate ingress and egress, their own separate buildings. This is a mixed-use site, and RSIS says for mixed-use sites, we are allowed to consider a shared parking analysis. The second part is in 2023, RSIS was amended to no longer prescribe minimum parking requirements. They are now maximum parking requirements. Legally, I have to defer to the smarter people in the room than I am to say compliance with RSIS as maximums. If an applicant were to propose less, I don't know that that constitutes a variance or relief is needed. That being said, yes, we comply. And RSIS, these standards have two components. The first part is the parking requirement for the people that live there. The other requirement is a half a space per unit for visitors and guests. So that element is where you have that allowable overlap between using the available office parking or the retail parking that's not used that night. In my opinion, yes, we comply with the required parking.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anyone else? No, we'll open it up. Janine?
So for anyone online that has anything to say, if you raise your hand or unmute yourself, or you can come up to the dais.
Madam Chair, this is Matt Seckler, the board's traffic engineer.
Yeah.
I don't know if I need to be sworn in. I was just going to
Yeah,
state.
yes, Matt, you do. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Matt. And the board recognizes and accepts Matt Seckler's qualifications as a professional engineer and traffic engineer. Please go ahead, Matt.
Yep. And I'll make it short. I think that all the comments that I had in my review letter have been addressed either by Mr. Dean or as part of the site or operational testimony. I had some discussions or questions about assigned parking spaces, pedestrian accessibility to the shared parking spaces on the office lot. All that has been answered. So just wanted to put that on the record.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Okay,
Thank you for your time
We'll
tonight.
close it for the public. Okay, your next witness.
Thank you. I'd like to call Ronald Kennedy of Gladstone Design, Inc.
Thank you. Mr. Kennedy, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy, and the board. Please state your name, spell your last name, and give us an address.
Certainly. Ronald Kennedy, Kennedy, 265 Main Street in Gladstone.
Thank you, Ron. And the board recognizes and accepts Ron Kennedy's qualifications as a professional engineer and professional planner. And please go ahead, gentlemen.
Thank you. Ready?
Thank you. Mr. Kennedy, could you please give the board the planning proofs needed for this application?
Certainly. I'm gonna put the sign portion away, so that's easier.
Yes.
Cuts it in half.
Right.
All right, so from a zoning standpoint, we'll just go through a couple of things. We are in the OR VMU zone. Okay, it was created for this lot. When I talked to Noah earlier tonight and we saw Steve Barker here, we started the conversation probably 7 years ago about this piece of land. And with meeting Noah, knowing what KRE had an intent, a parking lot that was underutilized, town had a need. We came up with a plan saying, how can we, I'll say, redevelop this site? What made sense? There was a need in the town for affordable housing project. There was a lot of different options that were on the table. And the applicant and this board, ultimately the governing body, spent time coming up with what can we do here? What makes sense? Density was established. The notion of how we could repurpose the space was established. And we came up with a zoning ordinance that referenced a plan. And it was Exhibit A1 in the ordinance. And in that ordinance, it had the plan that we originally got approved, essentially, plus or minus things. And at the time, there was no contemplation that the board, Bank of America would stay and that would be incorporated into the building. That we got the approval. We spent years, that was 7 years ago. Fast forward to today, that's not going to be able to happen. Right. So that building stays, but the ordinance still stands as it is. Because the ordinance is still there. So the things that we're here tonight to talk about are having to do only really with the Bank of America staying. The relief that we're seeking is only having to do with that. All those initial intents of the zoning, except for signage, is all the same. Nothing's really changed from a planning standpoint, other than that building now is there and it causes relief. The biggest single relief was in the ordinance. There is your current ordinances before even this ordinance was established. There was a section of conditional uses for drive-through banks. And it was put in a fair amount of zones that you had. You had in some of your office zone, you had the VN zone, and it had stipulated 7 conditions or so associated with that. Okay, this ordinance took that out completely. And it said that you can have a drive-through bank inside of the proposed building, the mixed-use building. And we didn't have to comply with any components of the drive-through bank ordinance because it was standalone. Okay, now that this is standalone and it's not there, we don't meet, it wasn't a condition, but it was a standard of the zone, or of this special zone that was for this property. So in the OR VMU zone, which was the mixed use office research, mixed use development zone, the requirement was pretty simple. It was and said that it had to have banks and banks with drive-up access in mixed use buildings or shown on substantially consistent with the A1, which was the concept plan. So in this case, we're not within the building, we're outside the building. So that means we can't comply with that criteria. It's part of the zone, which means now we need a D3 variance. That's why we're here before Board of Adjustment, not before the planning board. The initial application was before the planning board. So it's kind of quirky. It's a nuance of what we're really doing, but it doesn't change the use. The use was approved, but because we followed a plan, it said it was in the building, made sense, but now it's not, so it stands alone. So under that criteria of 13, it's 406 C1E, that statement that says that it's a permitted use, banks and banks with drive-up access in mixed-use buildings or shown on substantially consistent with A1, we don't comply with anything, and we need relief from that. So it falls under the category of municipal land use law of under 7055 D3, a D3 variance.
which is basically you're not meeting the condition. Okay, so in that case, we're not meeting condition, and I'll go through that criteria. There's a question that we debated with Larry about, is that other standard now that's sitting out there that's totally different in a different section under all conditional uses in all zones, 13601.8, which is drive-through banks. There's there's 5 conditions associated with those. 3 of those we don't meet either. So I'm not sure whether we really need relief from that, because it's outside what is in the ORVMX, but I want that discussion. We're going to put on the record that we'll ask for relief if there's any question about that from those standards, and they have specific standards. But again, it was never intent to do something that was inconsistent with the zone, other than we're keeping this as a separate building as opposed to incorporating it. And candidly, from my perspective, it wasn't a big component of the property or the project that we had to have it in the building as opposed to a standalone. It was just the conditions that were there. The assumption was the building would go away. So I don't think, as I go through my planning proofs, I don't think it changes the character of what we're really trying to accomplish from redeveloping the property that we started 7 years ago. So under the relief that we need, the primary reason that we're talking about is the business arrangements have changed. Okay, it needs special reasons, and we'll go through that. And it also needs to have purposes of the zoning advanced by it, just like you hear most of your applications. All right, under the D3 criteria, a little different than a use variance, okay, which is a D1. The use is approved, allowed. Okay, it's just in the wrong place. Right, so under D3, the conditional use variance can be approved in particular cases and for special reasons, which is the positive criteria. Right. The key element of this, based on some court cases, including what you hear, the Coventry Square case, which you've heard a couple of D3 variances. The key element of this is, does the site remain appropriate for the conditional use despite not meeting all the conditions? So does the site still remain appropriate for the conditional use, not meeting all the conditions? That's the narrowness of how the courts determined you meet the criteria associated with the D3. Use is permitted. The initial discussions that we had was bank was perfectly allowed in there. Drive-through bank was allowed in there. Our initial approval was a drive-through bank, and we had a lane for drive-through in there. And again, we still meet the intent of that original plan. It's just back to that standalone. The key element in determining this, if the site still means appropriate, all those public benefits that were originally involved with that project still remain. And you heard it all tonight, that it provides affordable housing. We're reducing the project from 160 units down to 140 units, but a little quirky, we're increasing the number of affordable units from 24 to 28. Right, so the benefit to the public, benefit to the community. Additional benefits are pedestrian-friendly retail on the site itself. That's an enhanced benefit that you spent a lot of time in your ordinance writing around the plan that was discussed and debated with this board and the governing body. Pedestrian connections, not only to the existing developments that are in the community itself, but to the park that's right next door. Highly amenitized space itself, connections to the Pluckerman Park, installation of improvements over there, including 2 pickleball courts, landscape and sidewalk improvements there. And the biggest single thing that we started with this conversation 7 years ago, you got to fix the traffic light. Okay, and we're still there. That's not changed. So all those things are still here, even though we're asking for this D3 relief. We still meet all those things, still public benefits associated with those, and the state still remains appropriate for the deviation that we're asking for this. All that being said, we still have to prove the negative criteria associated with that. That's the positive side. The negative side, obviously, that you've heard many, many times is, can it be approved without substantial detriment to the public good? Those amenities that we're just talking about, public good. Okay. Can it be substantially impaired to the intent and purpose of the zone plan and the zoning ordinances? Again, we spent a lot of time with this board and your governing body talking through a plan, talking through that. One element didn't work associated with this part of the use being inside the building, but it's still consistent to what we spent a lot of time talking about with this original plan. It doesn't affect the character of that neighborhood. That building's there. If this doesn't get approved, that building's still going to be there. All right. So it doesn't say that the building goes away if this board decides that, it's not really good for us. The building's still there. The other element that it has to have is it has to have advanced the purposes of zoning. And in this case, under 4055 D2. I'll go through a couple of those. C, to promote adequate light, air, and open space. E, to promote population densities and concentrations that will contribute to the well-being of persons, neighborhood, and communities. I, to promote desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design. And candidly, one that we usually don't talk about much, especially out in suburban part of the state, is to promote and encourage planned unit developments which promote best features of design for residential, commercial, and recreation. This is kind of that. It's not a PUD in a pure sense, but it has all those elements. And that's there with the office building that's there, with the residential that's there, and the retail there. We don't have a lot of projects in one site that does all those, and we're really promoting that. You heard about enhanced landscaping features that are there, enhanced elements of the site design that you simply don't have in Bedminster right now that we want to do on this project. Pretty special there. So all those elements, in my view, promote the purposes of zoning of why that relief is so important for the D3 variance to keep this project candidly moving forward. That's the use. In addition to the use, the subdivision itself creates a whole set of bulk standards that we deviate from, just setbacks. And it has to do with creating this little lot around I think it was 18, whatever the number of parking spaces were, around the parking spaces, the bank and the bank itself. So the desires that has to be on a separate lot, primarily finance reasons, has to be on a separate lot. And doing that while all the site features remain the same, and candidly, if there's projects built, whether the lot lines are there or not, still the same project, no one's going to see lot lines. But we have a whole series of minor relief associated with that. Never intended in the original zoning for that. So we had big setbacks. The overall project, if those lot lines weren't there, we meet all the setbacks. So the setbacks to the road, we meet the Burnt Mills Road, the setbacks to the adjoining property lines we meet, but these internal setbacks that we don't meet. So I want to read through them because Rob didn't testify on it, just to save some time because I'd have to talk about it anyway. And there's 4 or 5 of these, but I want to go through those. The minimum distance between buildings, your ordinance requires 50 foot. We're at 28.9 feet. Right. The minimum lot area in this zone, again, it's a single lot for this zone right now, 6 acres. We're at 0.63, just around the bank itself. The lot width, 400 foot required. I think the whole site along Burnt Mills Road is about 475 foot, complies. But now because the smaller lot itself that we're creating, the 0.6 acre lot, we're 165 feet instead of 400 foot. Lot frontage, same thing, 400 foot width, we're 165 feet. Lot depth, 400 foot. In this case, we're 48 foot, a lot depth. Minimum side yard setback, 15 foot, we're 9.1. And then the lot coverage, just on this little lot itself that has primarily parking and circulation, 75% is required. Pretty high number, probably the highest in your whole zoning ordinance. But this lot's 83%. The combined 2 lots, the retail, residential, and the bank, we comply. So there's no issues associated with that. It's just this new lot line we're creating about the 0.68 acre lot that we don't comply with those setbacks. So again, like the other proofs we talked about that are enveloped in the D3 variance, it advances purposes of zoning by approving this. You don't see the lot lines. It clearly doesn't have a negative impact associated with this. It's very approved for the single use that's on there, and it's part of the combined project. There'll be a series of cross easements associated with these so that there's protection for the public and certainly protection for the neighbor to neighbor on cross easements for access and all those others. And it doesn't change the overall benefits of the design, but they're internal lot lines. And candidly, if we knew we had to do this in the initial application, we would have wrote standards in that you did in another ordinance in this town or another zone in this town where you just define your setbacks to external lot lines, not any internal lot lines. And that's common these days in redeveloping sites now, that it's to perimeters, not internal lot lines if you subdivide a piece of land. So in any event, I think that there are a series of setback variances and 1 lot coverage variance that became granted, and it doesn't change what this application is about at all. So based on those, elements, both in the D3 variance and the setback variances, I think this board could approve the application as it sits before you right now.
Good. Frank, do you have any comment? on it?
No, I really don't. I think Ron's made a really good point when he says that we've been over a lot of this territory. This is so much what we called for before. The distinctions we heard clearly about, I think, haven't reduced the value of the project. It's going to help make Pluckham a more walkable place. It's going to bring commercial services that aren't there now. That'll bring more interest into town. So I'm pretty confident that the benefits he suggested are real and that the departure from the prior application is in everybody's interest. Less traffic for us, more affordable units.
Anything about the subdivision itself?
No, I really think, like you said, it's going to be an invisible line.
Okay.
Thank you.
Board? No?
I'm comfortable.
Okay.
One other thing, it just goes back to what I forgot to say, design waivers. There's a series of design waivers that were originally approved. No conditions changed. They were for the tree replacement. We're removing actually less trees now because of this. And it was for the size of the parking spaces. We had, some 9 by 18 parking spaces as opposed to other ones. They were that were butt to butt, head to head parking. And then there was another one for all those different buffers, the stream buffers that we went through a lot of detail on, but there's no change to our grading limits in any of those stream buffers. So we didn't change any detail associated with that area. So those were approved already. Obviously, we're a new application. We'd ask for those same, but the conditions for those design waivers have not changed from the original approval. They're the same.
Okay.
Ron, I have a question for you. On the original application, which was so many years back now at this point, did we go into detail on the lighting plan and have any discussion at that time? Any waivers, was there any problem with the lighting plan? Because we're not seeing a lot tonight about the lighting plan, but if it hasn't changed much.
It hasn't. The only thing that we spent a lot of time on was the string lights that were inconsistent to what your zoning ordinance has. It looked like in the resolution, though, it wasn't a design waiver. It wasn't certainly a variance, but it was approved, for those things. It's a little less now because that area got a little smaller. We were looking, I thought we made a commitment that those would go off when the businesses stopped.
Yeah.
That those things. But I was looking at the resolution after someone asked a question, George, you may have. We didn't see it in there, but we know that those go off. They're not going to stay on all night. Those would go off at the end of the business.
Did we just have it in there?
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah. They go off at the end of the night.
There you go.
Now, all the other things are the end of the business, as far as whenever time the business is closed down along the retail section.
I thought it was
Ron,
11
if that's
o'clock.
10 o'clock. Do you need another hour for everybody to get out of the building safely? And
Yes.
We don't want them all.
No, we agree. But we thought that was, we discussed that a lot. We talked a lot about that.
Yeah.
But I'll say this, Lou, the other lighting, it complies. It's down lighting, it's dark sky compliant. It's standard lighting that we do on these applications, other than those string lights. We spent a lot of time talking about those string lights. And again, it wasn't a condition, but I thought we talked about they go off at the end of the business and half hour, an hour after the business is closed, that they don't stay on the thing.
I thought it was 11 o'clock, but.
It could have been, but we looked at the resolution, it didn't say, so we can add it. That's fine.
So it's a condition of approval.
It could be 11 o'clock now, based on what you're doing right now, if that's what you want to say. Doesn't sound like that would offend anybody.
No, they don't need to be on all night. I mean, it's a feature that you really want to, when those businesses are open, when there's outdoor activity, you want them to be there. But at night, it's, after the businesses are closed.
All right, we opened it up to the public for Ron.
So again, if anybody is online or if anyone is here in the audience that would like to come up to the podium, or if you'd like to raise your hand, unmute yourself online, let us know that you have a comment or a question. I'm sorry. Doesn't look like there's anyone.
Nope, seeing no one, then we will close it to the public.
Madam Chair, the KRE team just reminded me there might be a restaurant open till 11. So
It's possible.
that a cutoff like that,
Yeah.
or an hour after business closes, that might be the latest business.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. Okay. All right, Tom, are you with us?
Yes, Madam Chairman, if you're ready, it's a motion. Well, let's get the date of the the next meeting for the sign package and variances? Larry, you want to go for?
Sure, we just want to be clear that this evening we're going to bring this to a vote on everything that we've put in the record here tonight, the site plan, the subdivision, all the variances we've covered. We're going to get a vote on that. We're going to get a resolution on that. We'd like to start, KRE would like to start the clock on any appeal period and have a resolution that we can use to get any other outside agency approvals that we might need. And all that being said, we are open to coming back on another date for these signs, but we do need that resolution. Yes.
Absolutely, that's the whole idea. But let's pick a date and you can always carry the date.
Yes.
But I'd like to know when you'd like to be on. We'll carry it to that date without you having to notice again, so that anybody here tonight is interested in the signage, they'll have to come back on that date or a carried date. So if you want to, well, it sounds like you're going to do some sort of modification to the sign package to listen to some of the comments of the board. So you're going to talk to Paul and Frank. You want to go for the second meeting in July. I don't think we're going to have a meeting on July 2nd, but July 9th.
July 9th is what they're asking for.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's carry that. The sign variance is a sign package for the KRE application are carried without additional notices to July 9th, 2025 at 7 p.m. No further notice will be required. Okay, and now the rest of the case is motion to approve the preliminary and final site plan, amended site plan, subdivision plan, T variance and C variances as described this evening and set forth in the record and the plans, subject to Paul and Frank's review reports and Matt Seckler's review report, which are incorporated herein by reference. So turn off string lights and business lights at 11 p.m. or 1 hour after the business closes. There'll be a condition that they will have a pre-construction meeting with the township engineer, which will include a construction phasing plan that would be subject to his review and approval. The applicant will submit there's another condition that the applicant will submit a trash and recycling plan as a condition of the approval, subject to review and approval by the township engineer. And they'll have the residential area will have an e-bike charging and storage plan that will be subject to the review and approval of the board, the township engineer. And all the other waivers that were previously granted are still granted, and generally most of the conditions of the prior approval will apply to this approval, except as explained in the record or where there are differences in the plan. That's all. Maybe one more. No, that's all I have, Madam Chairman.
Do we need a condition for a developer's agreement? Because there are improvements at the intersection. There's the improvements at the park.
Oh, yes. We should have a developer's agreement. So it would be conditioned upon approval with the Township Committee of a developer's agreement. And I think they're also there's a condition that they're going to document full compliance with the Mr. Ferrero's and Mr. Seckler's reports regarding the EV parking standards, but they will comply with the statewide standards. And that's all I have, Madam Chairman.
Good, thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Hey, Janine. Roll call.
Mr. Walter.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Rodelius.
Aye.
Mr. Giovanni.
Aye.
Mr. First.
Aye.
Mr. Wild.
Aye.
Chairwoman Betcha.
Aye.
Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, members of the board. Really appreciate the time and attention.
Yeah. Third time is not the charm.
Who's the guy with the blue blazer that has hands? He's from the morning, I think. He spoke in the first.
We
He's
have-
probably like an
We
operator.
have a
Yeah,
motion.
right.
No, we're working about it.
Right.
Whoa.
We haven't adjourned yet.
Just 1 second, wait. So since,
Okay,
they're not coming back next week, we don't have a meeting next week.
okay, that's good.
There isn't anyone else that is ready to
Ready to
go at
go.
this point.
Okay,
We have a bunch, but they're not
they're not
there
ready.
yet.
Ready yet.
They're not, yeah, right. Okay.
Okay?
All
So
right,
no,
so-
no meeting next week.
So this is May.
June.
We got June. Okay, so you'll let us know, Janine, in June, what's happening.
Big blank open. But again, I have several applications that are either incomplete, waiting for the review, waiting for the attorney. So we have about 4 or 5 that are in-house that aren't ready to go yet. So at some point, we're gonna get hit. We're gonna get hit hard. But
It's in the middle of the summer when we all don't.
in the middle of the summer when everyone's on vacation,
Right,
possibly.
exactly.
But right now, they're just not there yet.
They're just not
First,
there.
first week of July, I'm not here, so.
Well, you can remind me of that, but right now.
July 9th, that when they come back, I won't be here either.
And you're Mr. Signage.
I know.
Well.
I'll be in Bermuda.
They have internet.
They don't know computers. That is remote.
Okay, so no meeting next week. I'll let you know what's going on in July as soon as I know.
Yeah, okay. I would say probably the first week of July is probably out for most people.
I would imagine July
Yeah.
2nd. Most of you aren't gonna be around, but I figured I would wait and see if anyone actually asked for that date and then see who was around. But
Okay,
right now, I don't have anyone anyway, so
yeah,
Saying that I
okay.
won't be there.
I just say no. That could be my motto. Just say no, Paul.
We have.
No,
Girls' night
Is
out.
that good?
next week.
It's our, it's like.
Okay, so anything else, Janine?
No.
Okay, so we do have a motion from
Motion.
Actually, just.
George made a motion. You can second the motion?
Wait, Brian, are you motioning or?
There's just a question. We're looking at these documents here and I'm again just trying to learn some of the stuff, but this is again, especially if let's say if you're not going to be here, is it possible for this, what they want to present to actually be submitted to us ahead of time? This was
Oh, yeah.
part of our, I think our confusion up here is that we're always trying to look in real time as they're presenting something. But the plan, like what we have is from 21 and I'm trying to see what's different, what's this, what's that. And we're always
That's good.
going around the front.
We can tell we need all the exhibits at least 10 days before that date.
Yeah.
we gave
Yeah,
them.
then you would review it before you go,
If they can't
you know,
make
and
that,
send
come
comments
back.
into, you know, or something like that to the
Exactly.
board.
Yeah.
But just this, I know we always talk about the cursor moving around.
Big game tonight.
That was a good
one. They weren't on their A game.
It was hard to follow, and I know it was done in the past.
The computer, you know.
Yeah.
to the-
They were rushing.
You know, you can.
They're trying to get it
Yeah,
all.
I would ask them.
Yeah,
for
I
dates.
get it, but it just,
Janine-
it just would help, you know.
Yes.
If you were to have a long pointer
Uh-huh.
and when people come up the cursor,
It's the old
just,
fashioned.
if they don't bring it, at least we'll have one and say, here,
We could, but you know what I noticed during that, Steve, which is fine, but if any of you weren't here and you were where Tom or Paul is, you can't, because I was watching this screen, I can't see what he's pointing at. That's the only
I can't even
problem.
see what was going on the screen. You have to-
Where if we're
I couldn't
using the
either. You
mouse
can't-
like I am now, at least everyone is seeing the same thing.
right, but the cursor, you can't
Rob needed
follow
to
the
enlarge
cursor.
the mouse.
They needed to enlarge their plans, but Brian is also right. They
We need to print
submitted
out.
as an exhibit, a huge packet, which usually our exhibits are a couple of pages, right? It's not, this was big.
We need to see it. And
so
I'm fine
we-
with viewing that online instead of printing that out, copying it and mailing it and like doing all, I'm okay with it. Just have it available in some fashion. This is all I'm asking.
But we can certainly, like Frank said, ask for the lighting plan 10 days prior.
Because it's the same.
Sign.
That was
Yeah,
their,
yeah.
there was their.
Sign.
Yeah, when you go onto the website, the town website, just an FYI, yeah, I mean, all the documents are on the agenda. You can get it from there.
I post every one of them.
Yeah, but I don't think their exhibits are here.
No.
Like everything they did tonight isn't
Yeah,
on here for us.
Absolutely correct.
Right.
Even if I could follow it online or something.
Don't they have to submit all this stuff
You can leave
beforehand?
that up for a day or so, because I
They usually do.
I usually leave it up until the next meeting.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Should I be admitting somebody now at 10 o'clock at night? I'm
This was
thinking
just
no.
it was already.
thinking
Fine.
Because you can't be part of the meeting.
You get ready for next week.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no to admitting someone at 10 o'clock at night. Sorry, no. So yes, I will ask for the sign plan 10 days prior so I can make sure that I mail it or email it or something to all of you guys so you can review it prior. That makes perfect sense.
That's a great, I probably should have brought my laptop. It's nice.
Yeah, I don't have a special signage, but that was like off the charts.
Yeah, it was overboard. Understood. Okay.
Yeah.
Now do I have a motion?
Yeah, like that other thing that
Motion.
they're gonna have these little
Is that how that went?
banners. How much you gonna charge somebody to put about little pickles?
All in
That's
favor?
going down.
Everybody. Get old, who's gonna climb up here and take a walk?
Take care. Good
Good
night.
night, all.
Paul.
Good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night, John, the way.
Everybody.
Good.